I only care about those who care about themselves and are taking action themselves. Those people, I will travel the country, I will do free events, I will sit there with them for hours, I will rant and rave and help and study and do everything. But if you're not somebody who cares about yourself and you're just letting it happen in a derpy, passive state, that's on you. Law of the jungle, on your way to the end. So the way that it happens is you have something that you'd call the winner effect. You can look up the winner effect. Look that up if you never heard of it. Probably heard about it in my content. And what happens is that you get, I guess you might in a simple way, a very oversimplified way, call it a dopamine release when you're winning. And what happens is that when you're winning, more people are, when you're winning, it releases more happy chemicals. When you have more happy chemicals, it makes you act more confident and it makes you much less needy. And when you're more confident, more funny, more free associative, more of a leader and less needy, more people like you, are attracted to you, want to work with you, and want to take your lead. And this is why you tend to go on upward spirals or downward spirals. And you've got to begin to recognize when you're in a downward spiral. And a bad enough downward spiral, the way that that can look like is you lose your job. When you lose your job, you usually lose your partner, okay? When you lose your money, you usually lose your partner. But guess what? It's not because your partner was a gold digger. They leave you not because of the money. They leave you because how losing your money affects your behavior and how it affects your confidence, and it sickens them. They leave because of that. It's not because of the money. They would sleep with you under a bridge if you were just confident. How do you know that? Because club promoters live on couches and they have no shortage of dates. Okay, so they have delusional confidence as a club promoter and they're flat broke. The guys that I know that are the most successful in dating in LA are all broke and they all live on couches. So it has nothing to do with the money. They have delusional confidence and they probably use cocaine. And between delusional confidence and their cocaine use, they have a lot of confidence. Might not last them that long when they die at 32, but up until 32, no one's leaving them. So then what happens? Your partner leaves you. Now you're in a state where you've lost your money, and you're processing a breakup, which usually after a breakup, you're a mess for a month or two, at least. So now you're flat broke trying to get a new job in the middle of a breakup, or if you're single, nobody wants to date you. So now people are repelled from you. That there causes you to become very needy and to become a black hole. As you become a black hole, it begins to warp you at a soul level. And as you get weirder and weirder and weirder, you put more people off. And before you know it, you're the creepy man at Denny's in the middle of the night, like with no teeth, like, hey, Sonny. and you literally go so deep in the darkness that it warps your soul. And now you're the creepy old man at Denny's at 3 in the morning, like who smells weird, missing teeth, and is just like looking at people, talking to them with no social calibration whatsoever. You're that guy. Because what happens is that the black hole becomes so brutal that eventually you just embrace the black hole. You're like, I am the black hole. And as you just be, and then you start getting power from being the black hole, and you join the dark side, which then poisons your soul, turns you into a total weirdo. And it's like, how did it even get to that point? How did it get to that point? What could have possibly happened to get you there? So, women have different problems in my view, different challenges. I'm gonna say a challenge that a lot of guys are annoyed by, but I genuinely empathize with. I think if I was a woman, I would hate this, okay? I would hate this. So and women are all different, so I'm not gonna generalize, but I'm gonna say a common problem I've seen with many women. Doesn't mean everybody. Everyone is different, and their differences need to be respected. But imagine that you're a woman, and you don't wanna date a loser, do you? Do you wanna date a beta loser? Would you wanna do that? When your entire system is telling you this makes me sick, like it's physically sickening. Physically sickening. The way eating feces is physically sickening. So you wanna date somebody who's a winner, right? But the thing that you have to understand is that in men, there is a tremendous fluctuation in the potency, virility, value, competency, and ability to move the earth of that man. You might be one man, you might be 10 men, you might be 100 men, you might be 1,000,000 men. That's actually true. You might be one man, Like, you know Achilles in the Iliad? Where Achilles can just take over an entire war zone himself. You ever seen Troy, the movie? Yeah. Might have, God forbid you read Homer's Iliad. But if you remember the movie Troy, played by Brad Pitt. So, just like Achilles, some men are 10 men. Some men are 100 men. Why is it that some men are 1,000,000 men? That's real, by the way. Why are some men 1,000,000 men?
Diversity.
Really? Okay, so life is in effect a video game, but a real life video game. And some people play the game better than others play the game. Some people understand the game better. They have better reality testing, so they're able to see things. They're able to see through all the BS. Guys, this is so crazy deep topic, but they can see through all the veils of BS. So understand, most information coming at you, there's been piss in the pot. Okay, so key takeaway. By the time that the unwashed masses get permission from the gatekeepers to get the information, the pot has been pissed in by the agendas of the people controlling the information. So by the time that you get that information, like, you don't just get straight information, okay? I was able to give straight information for a period of time. I gave everything, and then I couldn't. Now, as I sit here, I can get you 50% information. I can get you half of what I know. Half. I can get you about 50%. What happens if I go in the other 50%? I no longer can get you any information. And none of you stood up for that. Not one of you in a meaningful way. You just go, like I'm a Marvel movie character, moving the whole world myself. So I can get you about half. But you don't care. You don't actually care. I care. You don't care. I'm mad. You're not mad. So you can get about half. And like if you study clinical NPD, the waves and layers of BS that you're being fed by someone with narcissism, where it's like everything, every bit of goodness that you have is exploited. Every word you say is reframed. Every action you take is recontextualized. It's like they say, everything you say can and will be used against you. Everything you do when someone's in that mindset will be warped and twisted and straw-manned in order for that. And that person, there's no soul there. There's a schizoid core and no actual soul. So what's happening, arguably, right? So what's happening is you can't reason with the person like, hey, stop this warping and demented behavior, because there's no one there to communicate to. It's a shark, dead in the eyes. It's a shark. You can't tell the shark like, hey, let's reason with each other. Like, let's talk. It could be a shark rider. We'll work collaboratively. The shark just tries to eat you. In a human form, a shark is somebody whose mind is in a completely transactional win-lose state all the time. So it's going to just warp and twist. There's nothing there to guide it out of that kind of a state. These kind of people have very, very strong frames. They're very, very, very confident because they are not weighed down with the ethical thought process that you may have. They're not playing the chess game with the same rules that you have. They just skip all the rules. They don't care. It's this machine that just does this, okay? So the people that control the information, many of them are in that mode. And the things that they will warp, they will take things that are good, causes that are good, things that are beautiful, things that you believe in at a level of passion, that it's causes that speak to your soul at the deepest level, things that are so true and dear to you, and they will use that to envelop it in a poison pill. Like giving a beautiful little teddy bear to a baby, and the baby loves that teddy bear so much, and if somebody had toxified the teddy bear and just sickeningly, disgustingly hurt a child. That is what is done to adults with the information. Now, if you doubt this, simply walk down the street and look to the extent that people are disassociated. They're derealized, disassociated, depersonalized. They're in a freaking trance. They're whacked out of their mind. And that is due to the information that they are consuming, which then controls behavior, which then controls the extent to which your mind is sharp. And this just goes on and on and on. So why can one person be a million people? Well, one of the first things is they see through the lies. They immediately, because they know how those people think, and the key is they're not jaded either. They're not even mad at it. They're not mad at, like they're not mad at it for themselves. They're mad at it for all of you, but they're not mad at it for themselves because they see through it so easily. It's a big joke. It's literally so dumb that when you see it, you can't unsee it. It's a joke. But you feel mad for the people who don't see it, that are sweet, sensitive souls that are being led down the wrong path. Doesn't mean that you know the exact right path, but at least the intention is there. So from that standpoint, you got to understand that, one man can be 1,000 men, because I'll just give a very simple example. Very simple. There's so many more examples, but I'll give a simple one that's relatable. The basic thing of like, go to school, get it, go to college, rack up a huge debt, get a $50K a year job, work until you retire. All those kind of ideas, somebody at a high level sees right through that. And you have to understand the traps. There's traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps. Because there's the trap of the job. Okay, now you become an entrepreneur. But then the next trap, like simple traps would be, that could be easily relatable, but there's so many deeper ones, would be working in the business instead of on the business, right? That would be a trap, right? Like, if I have staff here, that is only a win for them if they're learning skills that they can then use to leave and build upon. But it's not a win for them if they're permanently in their job, is it? Now, a real win-win is when they would be creating manuals, texts, and videos about everything that they mastered, and then they, out of friendship to me, would teach it to the next person before they would leave. That's a win-win, right? Not leaving me in the lurch. But, because I do win stuff for them too. And so that's a culture that I create. But it's not a win. Making $500K a year is not a win. It's a trap. You're being trapped at $500K a year. You're trapped at $1 million a year. I'm just talking simple stuff like money. There's so much, this is such garbage, everything I'm saying, by the way. It's so much garbage. Me talking about money is a trap. Traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps. You caring about money is a trap. You see that? You have to go beyond. So it's traps upon traps upon traps. So basic things like, and I hate to say it, be a nice guy and you'll have a nice wife waiting for you and 2 kids in a picket fence. Trap upon trap upon trap upon trap upon trap. That's a trap. It's not real. That is not real anymore. That's not how things actually work. But I am trapped because if I show you, and I have, can, and will show you, the things that I will show you about the lie of that are so incredibly shocking, and the programming is so incredibly intense of what you believe, that what do they say about truth tellers? And not that I have the ultimate truth. Anyone says that's BSing. But at least I'm trying. At least the intention is there. At least the desire to be empirical is there. So if I show that, like if I showed you what I knew to the full extent about that, that's not something that can exist. Because it's a pimp-hoe relationship. It's a pimp-hoe relationship. You go to the hoe, say your pimp is bad, the hoe gets mad. We are in a hoe relationship with layers upon layers of traps. We give up our agency and our individuality and our autonomy and our very soul in order to make these deals with the devil. It's a deal with freaking Satan. Might be metaphorical, might be literal, but it applies either way. So why can one man be 1,000 men? Because he knows his BS. He looks at this And he doesn't do what I'm doing here. Like, this is very beta, what I'm doing, right? It's very beta male. Like needing to tell you that, that you're hoes. That's what a beta male does. An alpha male just goes, fuck them, and just wins. They go, right? They're just like, they don't want to change. It's all good. And then just wins. They just do their thing. They don't feel this need to bang the drum of people who don't want to hear it, will just get stressed and won't ultimately change. They won't ultimately change, so why tell them? They don't want to change. So, a talk like this is not meant for all of you to hear it. I'm thinking, I make a talk like this, 50,000 people see it online, 5 people get it the most. The other amount clicks on, clicks off, forgets about it, doesn't care, doesn't want to play the game at that level. But again, why can one man be 1,000 men? Because the traps upon traps upon traps upon traps are obvious. They're right in front of you, and you just choose to see them. So then you say, okay, take it off, take it off, take it off, 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 off. What do I want? What do I want? Now all of a sudden, so simple example that I gave, real simple ones. Oh, I'm working for somebody else, that's a trap. Run a business. Oh, wait a minute, I'm working in the business rather than on the business. Another trap. Boom, remove that. Now, in a supposedly free market society, somebody who understands how to play the game at that level has the ability to go beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and make billions of dollars and have global influence. So now let's go back to dating. You're going to choose to date somebody, and you could date one man, you could date 1,000 men, you could date 1,000,000 men. If you were a woman, would you want to just date one man? Or do you want to date 1,000,000 men? What would your biology be telling you? What would your gut instinct be telling you? So, but the problem is, it's a metaphorical 1,000,000 men, by the way. You have this look on your face like you're imagining a bukkake, okay? Like the showering bukkake of 1,000,000 men, right? You're like, I just want one man, Owen, speaking metaphorically, okay? So, a man, because, let's just break that down real simple. Elon Musk, income earning potential, how many men? Now that's just money.
Pretty much all of them.
What if it's somebody who walks in a room and the whole room is centered around that man? Everything he says, people just listen to it, commands rooms, always has the most fun, always doing the coolest stuff, always just living, just winning. Being around that guy is just winning, 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 winning. He just knows how to play the game of life. But the problem is, when a guy knows how to play the game of life, probably not gonna be monogamous. Kind of sucks, right? Because now you've dated a guy who knows how to play the game of life. You've seen what that looks like, right? It's like you've gone to Avatar, and now you gotta watch a black and white silent film. I want more Avatar. I don't wanna watch a black and white silent film. But see, somebody who is winning at the game of life is more aware. And so that's something that a lot of girls deal with. It's like most women have dated a very amazing man, but it's really, really hard to retain that guy. And by the way, talk about lies. Women are not taught to create something of themselves that would even have a hope to retain somebody like that. Everything you're taught is to repel somebody like that, to repel them. Or, another layer down, to shame them into not being that guy. It's like, you ever go to Airbnb and you make a mess of it, and by the time that you leave that Airbnb, you just hate it and want to leave? Because there's no maid at the Airbnb. So you just don't do your dishes, you don't do the laundry. So a week after being at the Airbnb, it's kind of a crap hole. You want to leave. You're the one that messed it up, but now you don't like the Airbnb. You did that. So there's not actually, like, how would a guy operating at that level, has there ever even been discussion about how to create something that that guy would want or that would add value to him? Well, if there's, and then a guy like that looks at that and he's like, can't tell him nothing. I can't say anything because I'm the bad guy if I say anything. I'm open to monogamy, but if I talk about what I'd even want and share my feelings, I'll be shamed for that. And in the meantime, I can have as much fun as I want. So why? And the only reason eventually just becomes children. But even the laws are set up in such a manner that is so dangerous for that guy that he's like, he's just looking at it, like, this is nuts. So if I was a woman, I would hate that. So on one hand, you have men at risk of suicide, and you have women having seen Avatar, but being forced to permanently watch a black and white, no audio movie. Okay? For every girl that's been in Drake's private plane, how do you go back from that? How do you go back? So, there's a lot of weird dynamics, okay, that go on, basically, okay, that men and women deal with. That's collective. Can't change the world, can't save the world. You're one person. What you can do is you can sweep your own fucking porch. So what does that mean? If you're a man, recognize the danger that you're in as far as the traps that you get into. By the way, the billionaire thing's also a trap too. Becoming a billionaire is also a trap. I coach them. They're my one-on-one clients. They're fucking unhappy. They're in a trap. So, right? Look at what they've taken on. They're in a trap. Traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps. Right? So if I'm a woman, what would I do? I would have an honest conversation with myself about exactly who I want, and I would ask myself to what extent I align with building and transforming myself into something that would be a no-brainer for that man. What does that look like? And if I don't want to do it, I don't have to. But if I want to, I'm honest with myself, right? Like when I do programs, you know, you guys take a training with me, I don't just get to do what I want. I have to also do what you want. I can't just say my program is I sit on my couch eating Cheetos. That's what I want. It has to be also what you want. It has to be a win-win for both. So from that standpoint, if I'm a woman, I'm being honest about I'm profiling the guy that I want to be the dad of my kids if I want kids, or maybe I don't want kids. I'm profiling him, and I'm asking, now I'm not going to become so not myself that I hate myself to get that guy, but I'm just like I wouldn't do a job that I hate. But I'm looking for a win-win between that. And then I just say, what's realistic? And then I go get it. If I'm a man, I would look at things like upwards and downward spirals, and I would realize that you're in a lot more danger than you realize. You can fall off so bad, and some people never come back, okay? Once you get to a point that you've been that beaten down psychologically, it is very, very hard to bounce back. What you want to do instead is go on the other side of that coin and, you know, go boom, all the way to the other side of it. And if you get to the other side of that coin, then you get into a thriving position, okay? Let me give basic set standards as a man, okay? Every room you walk into, absolute leader or one of the leaders of a very small group. Total access to almost everything. Ability to get whatever it is that you want. Understanding of BS, understanding of systems, understanding how to play the game like a video game player. Massive awareness of your time, how time is being used, where time and energy is going. And seeing everything as a suck on your energy and time. It's all a bunch of fake, phony liars. All of it. 99.9% of what you're encountering is fake, phony liars. Okay, let me show you simple examples, okay? Let me show you how I see it, okay? So I have a vision of exactly what it is that I want to build. I have drilled down very, very deeply on the details, the specifics. Now, I'm not so rigid that I can't evolve and change it. We all change, we grow. But I drilled down on that. Then what I do is I look at how I'm running my day. Now, by the way, that in and of itself is this tremendous job, because you don't even know what you want your life to look like. Because let's say you're more business oriented, you're like, oh, I want to run this big business. Why? Why? Money, why? How do I see through the lie of this? Because I coach multimillionaires and billionaires. Unhappy, miserable, all the money in the world, miserable. Like, you know what genuinely makes you happy, not the lie of what you're told makes you happy by a self-help guru saying, I'll show you the way to make money and be happy. You should look at me with total, complete skepticism and cynicism. I'm laying down frames saying, oh, here's how you make $1 million. You should be skeptical of me. Why might I be telling you to go make $1 million? Oh, because I know how. So now you take my course. Now you're my fan. So you should say to yourself, okay, I'm open-minded. I'm not here if I'm closed-minded, but why is he telling me this? Will that actually make me happy? And then you've got to look inside yourself. Well, when I've had, how much money makes me the most happy? Now, they'll say, oh, you have a limiting belief if you don't want to make the most money. Lies! Because you die usually before 100. To make that much cash takes time. So to be an effective video game player of real life, you've got to know, okay, well, if I use this much time, effectively I make this much, and how much do I need to have the life that I want? Somebody who made $1 billion is probably over-optimized. They're like the Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler of money, like all, but like all stiff and tight. They don't need that much cash. That's not necessary. Oh, that's the limiting belief. Just find a way to make it. Lies, 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 lies. It's all lies. You don't need that much money. Only if you love it for your own reasons, not because you were told to love it. Someone says, oh, it's lazy. They say, oh, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Is that true? How you do one thing is how you do everything? No. It's just sort of true. Kind of, like in some cases. Not universal. It's like the law of attraction. Oh, what energy's in you, you'll manifest outside yourself. Yeah, it's often true. It's not always true. I see negative people winning. I see positive people dying. It's not always true. It's just often true. It's a good idea, law of attraction. It's not 100% true. So lies upon lies. You're being sold a dream. So you've got to pull back from that dream, and you've got to say to yourself, okay, well, if I'm sold that dream, how do I pull back and begin to audit that dream and really understand what I like? See, most of you here, if I got you a week off, you wouldn't even know what to do with it. If I gave you a vacation to Hawaii for free, you'd just act how you're acting at work, but in Hawaii. It's just a change of scenery. You'd be in the same state because you're addicted to it. So you've got to start asking yourself, okay, well, what is it that I want? Health-wise, resource-wise, lifestyle-wise, happiness-wise, spiritually, emotionally. You got to start digging that out. And not just on other people's agenda, what they tell you. Not mine, not advertising, not you being a polar responder, arguing just because you want to, but you. Then what you have to do is you have to look, let me show you how I see a room like this if you want to enter into my world, okay? I see you as a room of potential and of beautiful souls. But I see it like this. I see my staff as people who love me, want to help me, and love my mission. But I also see that because they're humans, they will sit there derping and spaced out unless I actively get them to wake up. That's how I see my staff. I see you in this room as here because on some shred of willpower that I probably half pumped into you by hammering you for months to be here, and you got yourself into a room. Great job. You made it into a room. I'm so proud. And the sad part is I am. What does that say about my expectations for you? So you got yourself into a room. I think that you're barely able not to look at your phone. I think you're barely able to retain anything I'm saying. I think most of you are tourists and dabblers. I think most of you will be more focused on getting a photo with me out there than doing what I say. I think most of you are not serious about your own lives, and I think that you philosophically align with the idea of improving your life, but are unwilling to take the steps to do so. I don't think that you want to change. I don't think that you're committed to change. And I think that through my bizarre wizard stories that I can do here, that I can get 5 or 10% of you to begin slightly to start kind of like at the bottom of your drain of your bath, where it kind of just makes its own little thing there, like a little flywheel. And so I'm in here trying to go, like you're like little dreidels, you know? And I'm trying to get some little start, you know, like starting a propeller. So I'm trying to make you mad, and I'm trying to bandy stuff in front of your brain and kind of smack you like a dead body that you're pumping electricity into. And the problem is that I am forced to talk to you like a baby. So even though the larger truth of your life that would be more important to you is more relevant, if I talk about those larger truths, it's too outside of your context or frame of reference. So as a result, I have to be like, I have Hollywood Hills mansion, money, dating, look at girl in bikini, like an animal. Okay? That's how marketers view you, by the way. You study marketing, they train you, view the people you're marketing to as an animal. Primitive, base level, spaced out, autopilot, unconscious, hypocritical, lying. And that you market from there. So, and if you resist this, watch your bank account drained. So, that's how I see it. I see it like most people in the room not serious, staff not serious, people on the street not serious, spaced out, low-level thinking, self-deceptive, hoes. And the word hoe being giving away agency for a trinket. Giving away agency for a trinket. A little trinket. Every time you eat a bag of Cheetos, you're a hoe. Poisoning yourself for a little taste and texture on a tongue. That's what they think about you. You guys, you can't even buy healthy food at an airport or a hospital. Your kids are born at a beautiful hospital. You have to go get them, or like go get the mom of your kids Taco Bell. There's the place of healing. The food is Taco Bell. No one cares. There's no will to change it. We're spaced out. So, what would it take, to reverse that? What does that even take? What would be involved in reversing that? Well, right off the bat, in the way a hoe would defend her pimp, you try to change it. Hey, leave my pimp alone. You poke your head up, boom, chopped off. And there's endless ways to chop that head off. Because every person is not perfect. So all that you have to do is just dig into them, find a couple things, boom, get rid of them. You just dig in. What they say, there's phones everywhere recording everything. What they say, what they do wrong, gone. The way to think about it is like a forest. And, say you're in the redwood forest, and some of these trees are crazy tall, and they're blocking the light of all those other little species underneath. And if you say, hey, big tree, chop yourself down so the other plants can get light, the big tree ain't listening. Now, a whole ecosystem can grow underneath. Insects, cockroaches, worms. Do you self-identify as a redwood forest tree? Or do you self-identify as a worm, a cockroach, an insect? Where are you in that equation? Have an honest conversation with yourself about it. These are conversations I have with myself. Guess where I self-identify myself? Redwood tree. Worm. That's the truth.
I mean, do you consider yourself like that as one?
I think.
Many areas of your life.
I think the conditioning is so deep that I'm one of the earlier people to begin to understand how bad it is. I'm like a worm that's like, hello, fellow worms. We're worms. You know, right? Like, I'm not the tree, bro. Okay?
I saw the water. I saw my reflection. This is what we are.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Who is the tree?
I can only tell you 50%, so there's your answer, okay? So look, so here's the thing, okay? Look, the sad part is, it's an even more, the answer is even more disgusting than that, right? Because the very people that are benefiting the most are as unhappy as the hose. The pimp is also sick in the head. The pimp is sick in the head. The hoe is sick in the head. The whole dynamic is twisted and sick. No, there's no dynamic where the pimp is just this happy-go-lucky, healthy person. The dynamic is the sick part. So, look, the system runs so deep that the only real way to win is to pull yourself out of it completely. But, and there's a lot of pragmatic components to that too. But you want to be, if you examine your life and you just realize that people are spaced out, they have their gods, their version of God is the little ways that they sell themselves out. Selling yourself out comes in the form of a thought instead of being present. It comes in the form of thinking bad of people rather than being present to boost yourself up. It comes in the form of what you put in your body. It comes in the form of how you use your habit. It's anything that goes counter to the life that you want to live and the person that you want to be is selling yourself out. So, and it's anything that isn't honestly auditing with total honesty and thoroughly what it is that you're trying to get out of life. Okay? Really, like, it's a lot. Remember I told you how I run these events? It's a lot of math. It's a lot of auditing. It's a lot of math. And it's a lot of backwards engineering. But they got you so trumped up on your day-to-day grind, getting to work, getting home, and staying above water that you don't get a chance to see what it means to truly fly. And the layers upon layers upon layers of what it takes to truly fly are so crazy. Because I've been fortunate in the sense that I've had the chance to take off work if I want until the day I die. And so I'm able to pause and say, maybe I don't want to work for 3 or 4 years. So I did that. I didn't really work for several years. And I really delved into, like, what does it actually mean to thrive? Here's what I found. I didn't know where to spend the money. Once I found things that I want to spend the money on, I'd go to these places, but my state of mind and emotions weren't that different than when I worked. Because the sheer trauma, the blunt force trauma that you undergo to get ahead changes you to where you're so dialed in on making things happen and taking massive action and a lot of people being difficult to deal with and a lot of bad stuff that it's hard to just be in a forest and laugh. I had to train myself like a student to be in a forest and laugh. So imagine how dumb I feel teaching a personal growth course and I'm saying, oh, you can make money, knowing that for those of you that make a lot of money, you'll be no happier. Because I haven't figured it out. You know? Here's what I found. You get the money to go do what you want to do, but you haven't really thought it through. You haven't thought it through how you would even do it. So say for example, that you want to go somewhere, you probably don't even know how to properly travel. You don't even know how to set up the logistics to it. You don't even know how to plan something. It took me taking off about close to half a decade, it took me several years to even learn the logistics to doing what I want to do. Like say for example, you want to start skydiving. Oh, I think that'd be cool, skydiving. But how many years away from learning to skydive, like how much time do you have to even spend skydiving till it gets fun? The first big chunk of it is just researching where to even do it. Then you've got to research what's involved in it. Then you've got to research where to go. Then you got to go get the lessons. Then you got to go do the initial jumps that aren't even fun. By the time that you get to the, like, think about it this way, okay? By the time that you reach a point where you're doing a skydive, the amount of stress and hours that you had to put in to learn about it, to get the logistics down, to find out where the place is, to pay all the fees, to get up, to fly up into the air for that one little jump. The ratio, it's like, I don't know, Sid, what would you say is the ratio of like hours put in for like that one jump?
It's a ton. You're packing parachutes, you gotta be up in the plane, going up for like half an hour for about a 50-second jump, and you're doing this again and again and again. And the skydive locations are usually a couple hours away from the city because they gotta be out in the countryside. So yeah, it's a lot of time, energy, cost.
For that one little jump.
Yeah. And then you gotta do jump after jump after jump to make it. So.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go make all this money so I can skydive. But it takes you years to even get to the point that you can even enjoy the jumps. And then after that, you know what you realize? It didn't even work. It wasn't you like a kid again, smiling and laughing, jumping. If anything, you're so stressed by the number of years it took to make the money, the number of years it took to get good at it, to learn the logistics. By the time you do it, you're like, this better be good. So it doesn't even work. So how do you get out of the trap? There's layers. Say you got better at dating, right? Learn about the dating ideas. Go take the course. Go out. Approach. Reject. Work at it. Day twos. Phone calls. Blah, out. Blah, blah. You know, so for 10 minutes you go, through a condom. Right? It's like courses, work, approaches, rejections, cold calls, DMs, like blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, So it's like just enough of it's like you're being breadcrumbed by biology and reality. Just breadcrumbed, right? It's like a little breadcrumb, just like a pellet to just keep the hamster running through. Like, it's like, you notice that even something like an orgasm is like just the minimum effective dose of pleasure to keep you running through that rat race, right? Like, it's just good enough. If it was even 5% felt less good, you'd give up. You know what I mean, right? But it's like just enough that you remember how good it felt, and it just enough that you want to keep going. So this is what it means to like, but unfortunately, due to the rat race, we don't really get the opportunity to drill in on life of what it is that we want at a high level. We're kind of in this kind of trap, okay? Now, what I'm talking about here is trap removal level numero uno, which is like the money, the confidence, some dating, things like that. That's trap level 1. But at every trap level, there's another trap. So, for most of you in this room, you don't, the higher level traps you don't relate to. Now, by the way, do you want me to give you a hint of the higher level traps? A hint? Yes. Your will has been hijacked, and you have no soul. Okay, let's go back to making some money now. Okay, so, no, but by the way, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. How much do you control your thoughts?
Not as much as you like to think.
Barely. You barely have control over your own mind. So when I say to you, you're a soulless, empty vessel without control of your mind, you go, no, I'm not. I got a soul. I'm not an empty vessel. But if you're spaced out, not able to control your mind, and easily manipulated, then what does that mean? Does you making money and you getting your social skills or dating life, or you being a bit happier, sorted out, does that get you out of the trap that you're that easily manipulated? You're still a puppet. So there's a trap there. Traps after traps after traps after traps after traps. So, by the way, being bitter about that is what?
trap.
Being unhappy about that is what? It's all a trap.
Unless you're the alpha and the omega yourself.
I can't understand you because you're talking too quiet, so speak up.
Said, unless you are the alpha or the omega yourself, you're going to be in that trap.
Yeah, but it's all hypothetical because I'm not that. So we're talking about ideals that means the teacher hasn't reached and you haven't reached.
None of us have.
But in reality, it's not actually that hard. It's just about starting a conversation. All we have to do is start a conversation that's not a common conversation. Wake up a little bit, boom, we get out of the trap.
Nice.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a point of being aware of it. Like, oh, okay, I see what's happening. Cool. How can I outthink this? How can I think beyond this? That's all that it really is. You can absolutely do that. Any one of these things we're talking about, it's not some impossible thing to get out of. It's all very, very possible. But let me tell you a little bit about how I kind of became aware of this. During COVID, I couldn't run seminars and I couldn't teach in social gatherings anymore. So I'm sitting there with the barrel of the gun because I'm gonna have to fire all my staff. I didn't want to have to fire everybody, right? Because I don't know, they're gonna keep, 15 days to stop the spread. So knowing that, I started doing one-on-one coaching with rich guys. And all I did for 2 years was pound the phones of the uber rich. So I got to see what these people that were aspiring for, how they think, what they do, what they deal with. Now, the obvious bias here is that people that are seeking out coaching are people that obviously are maybe a little bit more unhappy, but I saw what it looks like and I saw it. I'm like, oh wow, so even at that income level, you're still screwed. So I started thinking very, very differently. I was like, wow, that's really crazy. I've seen it with people that are amazing at dating and that often they're unhappy. So that's, I've seen it with myself with half a decade off work and being like, wow, I'm really not that, like my life without working doesn't feel that different. I don't even know what to do with the money. I don't know how to spend it. What do I do with it? Now, when you're broke, you're like, cry me a river, bitch. Owen, cry me a river. But it's actually worse than you think. Why do you think people like, say it's Eminem or people like that, get all the cash and they start turning to drugs? Because at least when you're in the hamster trap, in the hamster maze, you're kind of running through the maze, right? What happens when you get to the middle of the maze and there's nothing there? It's very depressing. He has songs about it. Like it was more fun to fight to get famous than it was to be famous. That's why a lot of them turn to drugs and overdose. Because they're at least when you're running through the maze, the hamster maze, you're saying to yourself, okay, well the cheese is gonna be awesome. The cheese is gonna be awesome. You're kind of dodging through things. You're being manipulated. You're a rat in a maze, but at least there's a purpose. When you finally get to the point that you have it, and you realize that because in the entrepreneurial journey to get to the point of financial freedom, you see very dark truths about human nature that you can't unsee. So you can never see people the same again. Then as you see those dark truths about human nature, you start seeing it in yourself and you feel sick with yourself and feel sick with where your brain's going. And you see what a worm you are. You see what a worm other people are. That's when you start digging up the Sermon on the Mount about forgiveness and just literally being like, I forgive others, I forgive myself. And you have to go through that journey. And then you got to learn how to even have fun. But I did train myself to do it. It took me 3 to 5 years of really learning how to spend the money to even figure out how to have like real fun. Now, when I'm talking fun, don't come back at me some BS like, well, I have fun like, doing this or that. I'm talking like the kind of fun that you envision if you go through the grind of all this. Like you're envisioning something pretty awesome, right? I'm not saying you can't have some fun. A video game is fun. Joke with your friends is fun. Going to stand-up comedy is fun. I'm not saying it's like there's no fun at all. But I'm talking the kind of fun that, you would imagine like if you went through it to hell and back to build something, like you do something really cool, but it's really not that different. But I was able to find the most amazing life. I really did. I found the most amazing life. And I'm still discovering that now. I get it now. But it took me half a decade. It took me half a decade of barely working, maybe working a month or two a year, to actually have fun. You want to know why I stopped? Because I realized this isn't going anywhere. And I also realized that what I'm teaching is bullshit because I'm teaching people how to build something they're not even gonna like. That really bothered me. I'm teaching people to be these people on the other end of the phone. That's what I'm teaching? To become this? This is what I'm working to become. So there's a lot of like sort of levels of abstraction. Now people hate this because if you're already lost, last thing you want to hear is that even the path that you had isn't proper. But it's not as hard to break out of as you'd think. It's just about better conversations. It's about better thought processes. So let's review some of them. We've gone abstract. Let's review some of them. Step one is you've got to audit exactly what it is that you want. And not just like, well, I just want all the money. That's so fucking boring and basic and unoriginal. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's like buying a Gucci shirt. You know, you're like, okay, I'm ready to spend some money on fashion. So you buy this like sweatshirt, like graphic tee with the word Gucci on the front for $1,000. Like the safe Gucci shirt. I got a couple Gucci shirts, but they're ones that I thought were like the rare pick of the bunch, you know, like the really interesting ones, right? But like that tasteless person with no real taste or soul, and they just say, oh, how do I look good? Louis Vuitton. And it's just like this big logo. That's somebody that says, I just want to be rich. No originality, no connection to what they really want. So rather than doing the graphic tee $1,000 Gucci shirt version of what you want, dig a little bit deeper inside yourself and say, what do I actually want? So for example, I don't want a mega yacht. Why? Well, if it was just handed to me, that's a fun yacht to have. But how many decades of my life had to be sacrificed? If I live to be 80, I hope to live longer, but who knows? Do I want to spend a full extra decade doing repetitive, difficult tasks to be on an extra large boat? Or can I spend $400 out of Seattle to get a giant cruise boat with slides on it for my kids and go-karts for $400 and take a boat into Alaska? Why do people need to own the boat? Ego. It's a justifier for why they did what they did. It's a justifier, okay? It's a way to justify misery. There's an entire cottage industry on helping people that made too much money justify doing what they did. Truffle mushrooms. The dumbest product ever made. You ever had a truffle mushroom? So these dogs hunt the truffle. And they go to hell and back to get a truffle mushroom. The truffle mushroom tastes no better than a shiitake mushroom and probably has less nutrients. But because a rich person has been to hell and back, they say, I can have the truffle mushroom, you can't. Let me give another example. I was in Denali Park in Alaska, and Denali Park is beautiful, but it's about a 90-mile road in towards the base of the mountain. But there was a road collapse about at mile 45. And so what happened was they still run the tours because they want to make money, and it's called the nature tour, right? But the animal life doesn't start to come in until around the place that the road collapsed. So they call it a nature tour. So I didn't know that the road had collapsed. So I was in Alaska. So I go on this bus tour. And it's called a nature tour. And they stop and look at a squirrel. They say, here's a squirrel. And the people go, ooh, a squirrel. They go, here's a crow. They stop the bus and look at a crow. And people look at it because they're told to. Because they're the Gucci shirt people, right? So they're told to. And then there's this weird random hill that's not, like, it's smaller of a view than any mountain that you'd see driving to Denali from Anchorage. And it's the picture area. And people get out of the bus at the end and take pictures in front of this random hill because they're told that's the place to take the picture. With anybody who has critical thinking, they look like fools, but everybody's doing it. And the group think enables it while people make money from it. I happened to fly into Denali. That was a hell of an experience. So I did that later. So what happens is we're told what we're supposed to like, and then we just consume it. I mean, when you're not in a derp state and you're being told to stare at a squirrel, you came to Alaska and spent that money to look at a squirrel and a bird, like a crow, like some nasty crow that you'd see eating your garbage, a squirrel that you'd see coming out of your like garbage can at home, and you're told that, it's crazy. So those people have not really thought about what makes them happy. They're not thinking about it. Going for the mega yacht for most people is not really thinking what would make you happy. Can you save that time and get the same outcome?
Yeah.
You can still go, do you really like being on a giant boat? If you do, how do you make that happen? There's other ways to get onto a giant boat. Now, if you tell me I want to go on a giant boat because I'm running a big company and I'm using it to network, if you say to me, I happen to stumble into a highly lucrative industry and I have a giant boat because I can, then yeah, I think that does make sense. But not if it's not what you really want. For most of us, that's not what we really want. You're the graphic tee Gucci shirt wearer. People that tell me, oh, I want to be super duper jacked. Okay, you're super duper jacked. But is that what you really want? Guys will always talk about all the sex they want to have, but that's not what they want. Most guys want companionship, but they're told they should want all the sex. Is that what you really want? So you got to start looking into that. These are the first layers of the trap. Level 1 is just understanding what it is that you really want. What is it that makes you really happy? What kind of occupations do you thrive in? Where are your strengths? What do you really like to do? You have to have honest conversations with yourself. Do I want to sell out for the money, which is not a bad idea if it's the right opportunity, or do I want to do something I love? By the way, very good arguments to sell out for the money. I don't, but there's good arguments to do it. Not everybody's going to be a public speaking life coach. So, very good reasons to do that. For a lot of people, I happen to be lucky to stumble into something I really love. Not everybody gets that. So you got to start auditing that, okay? So it's a lot of auditing, a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-understanding, a lot of digging, a lot of soul searching. Because otherwise you don't have a North Star. You're this boat going without any kind of a North Star. For women here, like, I look at you, I don't think you like dating losers. I see it in your pupils. You hate it. I can see it when I talk about it. I see the resentment and disgust towards losers. You like losers as people, but you don't want them inseminating you. The vision of a loser inseminating you makes you physically sick. I understand, okay? But then that revulsion, what that's meant to do is to motivate you to do a deep audit of what it would mean to be a partner for someone who is not that. How many hours have you spent in the head of a man that you would want to be a partner for? How many hours have you spent in their head, like thinking what they want? Good answer would be about 5,000 to 10,000 hours.
Yeah, sure.
Have you done that?
That's a lot. I mean, sure, I don't know.
Have you spent 5,000 or 10,000 hours auditing the psychology of the kind of person that you'd want to be a partner for?
No.
It's time to get started, right? Because if you don't, someone else will. How many hours have I spent thinking about what I taught up here this weekend? 40, 50,000. So, I would guess, right? Because they say 10,000 hours of mastery. I'm probably somewhere around 20,000 hours of work on this, but I'm thinking about it all the time. So, so it's like, I have clients that pay me the price of a house per hour. Well, why do they pay me that? Because I spent 20,000 hours thinking of how to help them. So there's a ROI, there's a win-win, right? So there's no entitlement. You're not owed anything. No one owes you anything. You know, if you guys see me in a nightclub, it's like watching a Marvel superhero. It's psycho. Like it's like watching a Marvel superhero. Well, where did that come from? 20, 30,000 hours thinking, how does this work? You know, I don't even, and I don't think you need that much time. I think I can teach you in a weekend. But that's why I create value. So, you know, I save you that time. Creating great products and services comes down to putting more time into solving a problem than other people do, and then that's what gives you that edge. So, put in that time into thinking what you actually want. What does a happy life look like for me, okay? Can I tell you a little bit about, I'll tell you a bit about my life as an example, okay? I want to live a life where I get to do the following things. I want to become more and more awake and present every year, more agentic, more autonomous, more skilled, and in a metaphorical sense, but not real sense, because I don't believe in the real sense entirely, but in a metaphorical sense, more enlightened. I'm not enlightened, by the way, okay? If you ever thought that. So, but I want to become more metaphorically enlightened, okay? Now, from there, I love traveling. So I want to travel as much as I can. I want to bring my kids with me as much as I can. I want to do work that builds skill set and adds lasting value. But I would also say I care about social change, and I also understand that I'm willing to say things that other people aren't, and that I identify more with the post-death legacy than I do with lifetime success. And that's weird, and that gets you in trouble, and it doesn't serve you, but I care more about that. So these are things that I care about. Now, that would be at the surface. That's the basics. The greater things that I care about are control of my own mind, control of my own thoughts, control of my own state, control of my own awareness, ability to access transcendent states independently, ability to be at the cause, not the effect. And I tend to see things almost like you have this invisible ball in you that's your core essence, and how is that growing as well? So what that means is that as you're moving through life, you're actually living, because you're living in a way where you're not on somebody else's agenda. You're not on somebody else's will. What percent would you even say that you're in your own will right now? It's madness how bad it is. What does it matter if you make all the money in the world if you don't even have a will? What does it matter if you have all the dating life or success in the world if you don't even have discernment? If you can't even see the world correctly? If you don't even know who you are? These are larger questions that one has to deal with as you move up through the chain, as you move up through the traps. I'll tell you another thing too. You want to get real weird? When you're dumb, the Bible looks like the most amazing thing in the world. When you're very intelligent, the Bible looks like the dumbest thing in the world. And when you hit a transcendent point in your evolution, the Bible is the most intelligent thing in the world. But you're seeing it completely different. That book freaks me out, man. The Bible freaks me out. It freaks me out. You dig through that thing from a more awake perspective, it will freak you out, okay? Like, you learn how to read that thing, not as a derper, okay? Like Noah's Ark, okay, not as a derper. But you learn how to read the esoteric code behind that thing, you will cry and cry and cry. Your hands will shake. You might throw up. If you're not crying, hand shaking, and on the verge of vomiting because your systems are being hit so hard when you read the Bible, you don't understand it. You don't get it. That thing is like having an electric current, bam, jumped in you, and just your hair's on fire, and your whole life is turned upside down, if you know how to read it. I'm not going to sit here and do a sermon. I'm not a preacher. But I'd encourage you to realize, like, there's a lot of old wisdom that has been wiped over, and you're so in your version of life and so in your own little narcissistic self-God delusion, so disconnected and just so messed up. And when you start to see some of that older wisdom at a different level, and I'm not just talking like, do nice to your neighbor, like I'm talking core essence level, powerful deep ideas in there. But not at the level that your weird neighbor is talking about, who doesn't get it at all. Doesn't get it at all, and is kind of in a cult. But by the way, the cult is there to block you from the wisdom. It's another trap. It's the way that you, I'll get a little bit more niche with you here. It's an attack vector, okay? So let's go a bit off topic. Attack vectors there's a war of ideas, okay? And attack vectors are places that ideas can be attacked, okay? So as an example, a common, like people that know information warfare get all this, okay? Like, say for example that a person hates Bernie Sanders, right? Remember Bernie Sanders? So you go into his followers, and one of them in there is gonna be some hardline, nasty communist. Then what you do is you get a video of that guy talking, and then you represent that as Bernie Sanders followers. That's an attack vector, okay? So I'm gonna show ones that the right use against the left first. Another one would be, you have progressive ideology, and there's a whole range of ideas, and then you try different attack vectors. So what is currently the primary attack vector on leftism, just currently right now?
Drag brunch.
What's that?
Drag brunch.
It would be drag queen story time and gender change at school, gender affirmation and change at school, right? So if you go after the entire progressive ideology, that's ineffective. That's not an effective attack vector. So you pick at it and you find this kind of one little area that's sort of a vulnerability in it, and then you go to town on it, like you're breaking through a door, and you just pick at that thing again and again and again, even mischaracterize it. Now, likewise, left people going after Republicans, there's also many, many attack vectors that you can see on MSNBC. You can see it on CNN. They'll do entire hoaxes, entire full-on hoaxes. Full-on government-sponsored, where taxpayer money is going into like fake investigations just as a hoax, as an attack vector. It's not a real dialogue. It's not a real discussion. It doesn't serve the voters. It's just an attack vector. So there's ways in which, the dissemination of ideas gets filtered through to you, and you're connecting to those, right? So a simple example would be with deep level spiritual work. The attack vector is the followers, who look so stupid. It becomes the attack vector. Like Eckhart Tolle, profound wisdom in The Power of Now, the book The Power of Now. What's the average follower look like? Hey, right? So anybody of intelligence looks at that, they see the followers, say, I don't want to become that. So that's an attack vector. Your weird cousin is like, Jesus, my Lord and Savior, right? You're like, I'm not becoming that, right? Or you see it at the level of story, and then you get into a discussion about story. You want to know another attack vector in Christianity? Do you have total, utter faith in Jesus Christ? Do you believe he was real? Now that doesn't sound like an attack vector, but here's the thing. Does somebody even have the right to even ask that question if they're not living it? That's not the right question. The right question is, what does this mean to you? Tell me for 10 hours what this means to you. Break down for 10 or 12 hours what you got out of this. And then break down for 50 hours how this changed your life and how this changed your behavior. When we're done, let's talk about what you just brought up. Then we'll talk. But so it becomes a block to internalization of the principles. So, you know, an attack vectors on us. Let me say my stuff. You know, we have this thing where what we teach is that the words don't matter as much as the energy. So we would do a example of that where you might walk up and do a cold approach. You say, hey, I like salad. That's an example, right? We do that as a thought experiment to show that the words don't matter. An attack vector would be, Owen says that the best way to get a date is to say, I like salad. No, that's not what I said. I said it's a little experiment. But they can't do that, right? Another attack vector is that I believe that when you bring people to the front of the room, you kind of like beat up on them a little bit, create pain around a weak identity, and rebuild a strong identity. Pablo at the back of the room went viral with like 30, 40, 50 million views because I gave him a hard time. I gave him a hard time. Pablo changed his life, and his girl that you see passed out beside him is 9 months pregnant. What do you do when you say that someone's 9 months pregnant?
Congratulations.
Okay? So, right? But you can reframe what I'm doing as just this crazed man yelling at somebody. So these are attack vectors, right? So by the time that you even get the information, you've had political pissing in the pot. Okay, the left has put in their agenda into the information. The right has put their agenda into the information. The businesses have put their agenda into the information. There's been attack vectors on the information. You're not able to get something, you're not able to drink water, which is clean. You go to sources of water that are clean, and they're shrouded with weird followers. So what do you do? You go to internet guru. You know what I mean, right? Me. You know you're in trouble when you're listening to me. You know what I mean? This guy. You're in deep shit. I'm your guru? You're fucked. You're fucked. So, okay, you're that fucked. I'm just messing with you guys right now. So, okay. So, no, but I mean, it's true if you think about it, right? I started to become sick with this whole thing because even the relationship that I have to the people who I work with, I think is often twisted. It makes me physically sick. Like looking at me as some kind of an authority rather than a resource. I'm a resource. I'm not authority. I'm a resource. So, I'm giving you a lot of abstract ideas here. I'm spitballing. Remember I told you part of why I do free tours is to spitball ideas? So I'm kind of spitballing here, right? Someday I'll make this talk more cohesive and I'll release it as a really cohesive talk. I'm kind of meandering here and sorting out my thoughts with you guys as a sounding board here, okay? But what I'm trying to get through to you here is you have to have a thought process of seeing traps upon traps upon traps upon traps, lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. And your job, in my view, is to see through the web of lies and to see through your own web of lies. Then to do what you can to cleanse yourself, and then to become a source of light to help other people. And this is also going to accelerate dramatically with AI, which could potentially become sentient. We don't know the result of that yet. That remains to be seen. And the advancement of society, right? So it's gonna really, really separate the wheat from the chaff. My view is that step one is put the oxygen mask on yourself. So learn how to make the cash that you want, learn how to get the social life you want, learn how to build the lifestyle that you want. Because that in and of itself is such a great exercise because it shows you how to take a lot of action. Then as you're taking action, now you can start seeing outside of that. And you can begin to say to yourself, oh, okay, there's more to life than this. But from a weakened position, you can't really be that influential. You know, I've worked with charities, they can't pay their bills, they're broke, they're ineffective, because they kind of tried to help everybody else before helping themselves. So that's where I want you thinking about how to help yourself. So for me, how did I come across this process? I spent a couple decades mastering social skills and learning how to crush it at that. I learned how to build a business around it. I clearly learned enough about mastering my body and vitality. I haven't been sick in 12 years. I don't teach that because I don't give medical advice, but I learned it anecdotally for me. Worked on many, many different skill sets, but then you sit there, and I'm sitting there coming up on 44, and I'm going, this is all dumb. This is dumb. Like, you ever see those videos of somebody, say, in India, in a giant trash heap sorting it out? What does it matter if you're the king of the trash heap? So, a powerful shift in my view is starting a different quality conversation. And that quality conversation becomes like, if something does everybody in here believe in being at the cause of your life and not the effect? Do you believe not only that you can completely and utterly turn your life around, but more so that you have the capacity to emanate that light outside yourself?
Yes.
Okay? So, do you also believe that humanity has a huge amount of untapped potential? Do you believe that? Yes. Okay. So, but the thing is, that's all very abstract when it's like, yeah, but I can't, I'm too afraid to approach a girl, right? Or, you know, I can't make, you know, I don't even make 50K. So it's all very abstract, right? So it's actually very narcissistic to talk about things like global change, but not to talk about how to make 50K. People often come to me, they're like, are you gonna be a billionaire? I'm like, that's self-destructive. That's not that you lack a limiting belief, that's self-destructive. Talk about the next thing. Get specific, the actual result. Then you can stack results. So first you do the impossible in your own life, you break the odds, you do the impossible, then you start to show others how to do the impossible, and then what you do is you start digging into the system itself. Now, by the way, and again, that 50% that I can talk about, the 50% that I can't, I've had some big, big, big wins that if I told you guys, your jaws would drop. Major, major wins. Yeah, tears would come to your eyes. Major wins. That's not something I post on social media, but we've had major wins, global level. But I'm just getting started, okay? And this is something like, you know Ragnar Lothbrok, you ever see the show Vikings? Ragnar needed his children to finish his legacy, right? That will be, my work will be like, you know, a Joe Kennedy or something like that, where it was his kids and his ancestors that had to carry the torch. I can't get this done in my lifetime. I'm not gonna be able to, okay? I can't live long, I can do all this stuff, but I'm not gonna make it, you know, till the end. I wish I could, man. I wish I could. You know, I wish I had more time, right? I wish I had more time, but I don't. So, you know, and I don't know how much time I do have. So, when you start thinking like that, okay? When you start thinking in those kind of conversations, well, then what starts happening is now you're getting into the real depth and juice of life, I think. Because you realize that just being on a giant yacht, calling it yours, when in reality you're gonna die and just someone else is gonna get it, that doesn't have real meaning, right? But it's as you drop into your real power and as you drop in to the real capabilities that you do have, and when you drop into that ability to be at the cause at the highest levels, the rewards of that are so past your context that I don't have a way to relay it. I can only ask you to think about areas that you've had wins and just magnify that by 1,000x. But you start to, because it's not anymore what you're doing, it's just who you're being as a person, and the way that opens up different psychological capacities and different awarenesses. There's like a je ne sais quoi of internal change that it opens up. So let's break this down a bit more simple, okay? Broke and frustrated, yeah, that sucks. We get that, right? Broke and frustrated sucks. Maybe you start to get sex, money, some freedom, get to go places, stuff like that. That would be an improvement. But I think it's too limiting. I think billionaire is limiting. I think sex life, limiting. I think these are just the pleasures of derpers. It's the pleasure of a derper. It's what it really is. It's rodent food. You know? So you see some big fat rodent, billionaire guy, he's just a fat rodent. That's how I see it. It's a fattened up rodent. It's like a well-fed cockroach. Again, traps beyond traps, beyond traps, beyond traps, beyond traps. Lies beyond lies, beyond lies, beyond lies, beyond lies. Okay? The Bible, as an example, is like a beam of light. It's like that, and just vaporizes the lies. But again, you have to understand it at a deeper level. It's like this thing is like, it's like this weird laser beam that just vaporizes the lies. But you can't understand it. You can't just look at it at surface level. It doesn't, I don't think it's fully open to me by any means. And that can't open up to you. You're not able to have that open up to you until you've really done the work. And then it begins to open up, okay? Like a lot of the ideas that you learn here, did any of you here maybe look at my old school stuff and it took a couple years to really open up, but when it opened up, you're like, whoa, like this is so crazy. Like, you know, how many of you here had, even with my older stuff, had just absolutely mind-shattering life changes that you never would have imagined when you first clicked on? Put your hand way up if you had that. Mind-shattering, way up, hands way up so people can see this at home. Mind-shattering, shocking, crazy changes, right? Like yeah, thank you guys, thank you. Me too, as I learned all this. But that doesn't stop. That doesn't stop, okay? So part of why I do free events is I do it as practice. The same way I go out and work on skill set as practice, right? I do it as practice to try to, you know, work on content. Sometimes I work on content that's like, I'll do a bit that's really polished at a free event, and then sometimes I do more raw content at free events that are more rambly and a bit all over the place, a bit harder to follow. This I'd put in the latter category. It's a bit harder to follow. It's like, okay, like what the fuck are you talking about, man? Okay? But I would ask you guys to come up and tell me a bit about how you're interpreting what you're learning so far, and then we'll go into some exercises, okay? But I'd like to get some shares and people to come up. But I'd say, can you imagine, like, imagine you can just walk into any room, right? And you have total, absolute mental control over your state with very little fluctuation. If you need to surge your brain with dopamine, you snap your fingers, you can do it. You need to talk about, you need unlimited things to be able to talk about, snap your fingers, you can do it. Frame control, snap your fingers, you can do it. Know how to make money, snap your fingers, you can do it. Know how to have influence, snap your fingers, you can do it. Know how to create an energetic field in your body, no ailments, snap your fingers, you can do it. I'm not giving medical advice, just a thought experiment, okay? Know how to summon unlimited energy, snap your fingers, you can do it, okay? Imagine what that's like. Now you have all the money you need, dating life, fun, friends, travel. That's your foundation. Then you realize, well, wait a minute. When I go do these fun things, I don't know what to do. Like now I'm at point zero. I'm at point zero. Now I'm an adult. What I described is not an ideal or enlightenment. What I described is adulthood. Basic adulthood. So now you're there. Okay, amazing. Great. So now you say to yourself, well, I can do whatever I want. What should I do? That's about a 5-year journey. I think screw waiting until you're 65 to retire. I think everyone here should retire for 5 years at 40, for about half a decade at 40. If you're 40 now seeing this, do a half decade at 50. Do it while you're younger. When I was on that bus in Denali, everybody was in their 60s. If I died in a car accident today, I had the most incredible 5 years. So I got that. I got that out of the way, okay? I even got to do it for my children by bringing them. So now it kind of feels like gravy. Why not do something for yourself? Why not truly do something for yourself for a bit? It's not that hard to get into a position like that. Just take some focus. So now you do that. Then you start realizing, wow, I'm not really that much happier than when I worked, because emotional states are addictive. So that 5 years, you can use that to relook at how you're processing fun. You know, so maybe you do that first ski trip and you're kind of like, I kind of just feel like how I feel when I work, but I'm on a hill. But then you learn how to really have the texture of the beautiful mountain. You learn to really focus on the trees. You learn to focus on joking with your friends. You recognize when you're making yourself happy or sad. You recognize how to really enjoy just the turning of the skiing. You have a new appreciation for the lodge, a new appreciation for being with your friends in the hot tub, an appreciation for sharing with people, an appreciation for being there alone. You work on your palette of letting it in and receiving consciously. You learn how to genuinely receive. And you got to go try different things. I had to try 5 years of things to even know what I want to do. I didn't know what I want to do. I was so bought into, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I was bought into that. I believed it. And it was true in its own way, for sure. I've got a fun job. I like building skills, of course. But it's too limiting. It wasn't me learning how to really receive. It was me learning more how to give and build and master and master, but there was no receiving part. You gotta even know what you're fighting for, right? I got to the point I didn't really even know what I was fighting for anymore. Oh, we've got to build this, build that. Why? You remember what I said on the first day when I said, you don't want to just talk about the relationship, you want to live the relationship? You want to actually live the relationship a bit, right? Oh, talk about becoming this better person, self-development, growth, thank you. Why not see what you do with that? If you guys are learning from me and I don't know how to have fun, why would you even want to learn? What am I leading you to? What kind of seed are we planting? So that's another component. But see, once you get past that, in my view, then what starts to happen is you start to really, really look at who you are at the most core level. And imagine from there that what you begin to do is you begin to get more and more tapped in. So in other words, you're training yourself, this will look kind of weird, but you're training yourself to open the receptivity, to receive more. So that 5 years that you spend learning how to have fun, you know how Native Americans often talk about being connected to the land? I have a lot I could say about that, by the way. Whew. But, whew. What an interesting topic that is. So many elements to that. But in the best way ever, and in the most absurd, but mostly the best. But some, oh my goodness. Anyway, so learning how to allow, and this will be weird, what I'm going to say, very abstract, but to build a connection to God's creation and to allow that to infuse you and of man's creation. So a simple skill set as an example would be, can you look at a leaf and cry? Can you look at a leaf and cry? Now, that sounds like the dumbest conversation of this whole weekend, but is that any worse than can you stare at your phone and zone out for 3 hours? What is a leaf? A leaf is the greatest miracle. It's life. But you can't even see it as what it is. And that has a gift to give. A leaf has a gift to give you, right? So now what's happening is you're connecting to the land, and then you might start to look even more deeply. Maybe you look at things like sacred texts, and what you start looking for is tears in the veil. What do I mean by a tear in the veil? We have this sort of world that we live in here, and there's these little, almost like a pin needle that occasionally pokes this sort of like, I don't know, it'd be like if you're, I've actually never done this and don't plan to, but say you were tag teaming somebody and doing like a DP, and there's like a membrane in between. okay? And it's like that one little membrane that's preventing you from touching parts of your homeboy that you never want to touch, right? I'm just messing with you guys right now. Okay, so one of my big hobbies is to mix up the most absurd things in these speeches. So anyway, but no, it's like a membrane, okay? And from that membrane, it's like this veil. And every so often, just this little poke, right? And learning where those are. And allowing yourself to be receptive to those. And allowing that to infuse your mind. And you'll see shifts in pupils. You'll see shifts in thought patterns. And you'll also see tremendous resistance. Your body and soul will fight you and fight you and fight you. Other people who are around you that aren't ready to receive that will run and act very weird. And could just be that you're weird, by the way, so be aware of that too. You're like, I'm poking the membrane, but maybe you're weird. In my case, you'll have to decide that for yourself. So it's poking through, right? And you're learning to absorb. But to even be in a position to do that is kind of tough, right? Because you got to pay rent, because you're lonely. You don't have the basics handled. Now, you can work on things like that in parallel. I think there's benefit to that, but it's kind of a little abstract. It's a little hard to work on. But can you look at a waterfall and let that in? Can you look at a sunset and let that in? Can you understand what you're actually looking at? Okay? A watch is an illusion. You can let this in because it's not that bright. But you can't let in a leaf. The leaf is worth more than the watch. Okay? But you can't let that in. So then what starts to happen is as you learn to receive, and that opens up more, you'll see shifts in the eyes, in the pupils, in the way that you look, in the way that you carry energy. You will see shifts in the results that you can produce. And what you'll find is you go deeper and deeper into being at the cause. And then what happens is as you mirror the energy of your creator, you are fed more. So now what's happening is you're shifting and shifting internally to where you're able to receive more. Right? And you're seeing people very, very differently. You're seeing yourself very, 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 very differently. But wanting to be at the cause is something more appealing than having just the yacht. It's who you're being. It's the energy that you're infused with. It's the mental landscape and spiritual landscape that you occupy. And this is where you transcend the traps and traps and traps and traps and traps. Now, here's another trap. Another trap is, in some ways of seeing it, lifespan. The trap of lifespan. Why is that? Because the 100 years that you might live are still too short. You can't win with money. You can't win with time. Because in a context of the infinite, how long is 200 years? It's still too short. You can't win. You can't escape death via time. So you can stretch, you can go like that, right? Okay, Kobe Bryant died at what age?
41.
But did he die at 41? No. Kobe Bryant is thousands of years old relative to a regular human. 50,000 years old. It doesn't matter that Kobe died at 41. It's also not a coincidence that Kobe died at 41. It's not a coincidence. Okay? Kobe isn't dead. Right? Kobe never did die. He's gone past that. He's not in that paradigm. That's not a paradigm that Kobe resides in. Kobe is in this room right now. It's called Sid. I'm just kidding, right? Now, Sid is Kobe's biggest fan. Kobe's in the room now. Was Kobe a physical body by the time that he finished? When Kobe went for 60 in his last game with that injured body, that wasn't his body that did that, right? Yeah, it was his heart, right? That's an energy. Kobe was no longer in the body. He had manifested something past that. He's gone past that, right? Remember Kobe's Kobe shoe commercial? Success about success about success. Remember that? Yeah, Kanye and Tony Robbins, right? But that's actually deeper than you think, okay? So Kobe didn't die. Kobe had become more what he had learned to, create ingredients of was past the physical body. It was no longer important. I wish for Kobe's family not to be traumatized. I don't wish for his daughter or the people in the helicopter to die, nor do I wish for the millions of people that die every year to die, of anybody to die, of anything to die. But that he was no longer his body by the time of his death. So it no longer, okay, he's a mystic by that point. He's no longer Kobe. So it doesn't matter, like if he lives longer, that's really, really, really great. I wish bodies never died. But it's not that you're seeing it in the wrong paradigm. You're seeing this through a very, very limited paradigm. I wish that helicopter didn't crash. I wish that they would have done a better job with the safety. I think what happened to the kids and the people in that is sickening. I'm very sad at what happened. But I'm also able to see it at 2 levels, not just 1 level. Not at quite that level, but yes, in a basketball player. So it's that, like at a certain point, are you even, when you've gone to that space, are you really your body anymore? Is that really the landscape that you inhabit anymore? Really? Right? Like if you have a kid and you pump a kid out and you die, well, half your genes are left. They're still kind of running around, right? You have the recessive genes that are still left. So you're kind of still running around in a way. But there's also things that are being created inside of yourself that are not just these kind of consumer culture derping floating turds. There's something else that's being built that is manifesting, that is its own thing, that is its own first mover, and that you feel inhabiting inside of yourself, and that spreads. And that just like having sex and having kids is one way to expand your core essence, but that's in your genes. Another way is that core essence and how that spreads into the world. So there's different forms of life that we don't, there's discussions that we're not having. There's conversations that we're missing. And there's potentials that we're not uncovering. We're just seeing it in this really, really limited box. And we're being frame controlled. So, I know frame control because I learned it in dating, right? I go into a club, I'm this like balding ginger dwarf creature, and I will set a frame. That's how I succeed. I'm setting a frame. But society and our life and the way that we think about life and our lifestyle, that frame has been set. What we prioritize, those frames have been set. We don't think past that frame. We want the Gucci graphic tee. We want the mega yacht. We're not thinking beyond. We're not asking, what is this place? What is this? What is this? This crap, this stuff, this beauty, this art, this nature, this chemical pot. What is it? We just sift around in it like a bug. So, you're witnessing like the midlife crisis of a guy that became a millionaire too young, okay? I became a millionaire at 26. Okay? So, you're witnessing the midlife crisis of a guy that got laid a little too much. Right? Like, you've been getting laid for like decades. You're just like, what am I doing? Why? What am I gonna find in this hole? I came out of this hole, I've been trying to get back in for 20 years. There's something here, where is it? What am I doing? Okay? Is there something here? Where am I? You know, it's like, guys, I ate in every fancy restaurant you've ever seen. I'm potbelly from it. Every piece of good food, ate it. Lived in the craziest places, did the craziest parties, hung out with celebrities, traveled everywhere I want to go, did everything I want to do. I did it all. I did it all. Okay? It's just this big flurry of bullshit. You just run around, you just do all this shit, and you're just like, you know, and then people come see you, and they're like, how do I do this shit? Well, I know the answer. And then these fuckers take what I'm saying here and use it as an excuse to not take any action at all, believing that they have bypassed that process by being a floating turd. So you can't even talk about it without them taking it in a way that's self-destructive. Oh, well, then I don't have to do anything. So let's go deeper. So we're looking at a problem, okay? And then we're going, right? We're pulling back. We're in Google Maps, right? Oh, here's the street. There's the city. There's the country. There's the planet. There's the galaxy. You know, we're looking at it, right? And we're looking at this and saying, okay, well, what do I want? Who am I? What is this place? What do I want? What am I doing? Okay? And it's kind of like going to school, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and the grades just kind of keep going. So we practice this art form on basic day-to-day stuff, okay? The first step is admitting that if you're not smashing it, you gotta realize just what utter, pathetic, and incompetent, and sad of a situation that is. And you've got to really go within yourself and say to yourself, how did I cause this? Why am I at the cause of this? What decisions would I make different? What did I not understand? What information I did not get exposed to? And then you start looking at that. Then you start fixing yourself. In other words, you sweep your own porch. Sweep your own porch, get into a life position of what it is that you want. Boom. That provides the bandwidth and ability to look a little bit deeper, okay? And so, like I said, what happens is, as you are able to source energy in deeper and deeper places, now the shift that's also happening is right now, you're in a derp state and negative. And then what you do is you get little glimpses of light from like an ice cream, or maybe you got laid. Okay, so you got a little glimpse of light. But your system isn't built to absorb all the light that you could get. It's not, your system's not wired for it. All these fantasies about winning the lottery, it's too much light on the system. That's why there's no point in giving money to your children. Why would I give money to my children? Why? Why would you do that? If I gave you $100 million right now, that's like taking a magnifying glass on a worm and just frying it. You can't absorb that. You don't have the internal receptors to even absorb all that. It's like as if you say, oh, you want the light on, then I take that big light and I put it right in your face. It just burns your eyes out. You're not able to absorb that, right? So it's an actual process to learn how to absorb more light. And part of the traps, remember we talked about traps upon traps upon traps upon traps upon traps? Part of the trap is that winning within the paradigm of just money is actually it's an entrainment. It's like a narcissistic abuse type entrainment that's entraining you to live only with sunglasses on. So in other words, money is refracted light. Sex is refracted light. It's still not the pure source. You're still just getting refracted light. Don't be abstract about it. Just think about that in practical terms. You don't need to be abstract, right? Derp state, oh, money. Derp state, orgasm. Derp state, Food, right? What's that really doing? Derp state, more food.
Keeping you in it.
Right, yeah, you're still kind of in it. Quick question?
Yeah.
You gotta be louder though.
Do you feel like when you experience that pure light, it becomes harder to pursue the refractions of it?
Well, I think the first thing is like, let's not pretend that I or you experience pure light. We're derpers. But what I'm saying is the derper's beginning to awaken.
But is it a spectrum?
Yeah.
So like, as close as you can get to it, maybe not the whole thing, like you're saying, of course, but like, the closer you get to that, it becomes harder to chase.
Yeah, but remember that as we move up, the money's handled.
Yeah.
The money keeps getting more. The money keeps stacking up. The paper keeps stacking up. Dating, all that keeps stacking up. You don't lose that. You just retain it and do. It's like if you're in the first grade, you do 1 + 1 = 2. You don't lose that. So you go to your first and second and third grade. These are tools that enable us to move up. This is why communist countries, in my view, are built to steal your soul. They don't allow you to move up through the chain and to take responsibility and see all the consequences of it. So they're built to keep your soul on earth. They're built as soul jails. Is communism. It's built to, the stopping of freedom doesn't allow you to fail. It doesn't allow you to have to bear the full consequences. So it's designed to keep everybody enslaved, their spirit on earth to die out. So it's Satan. So, but again, that's abstract. So basically what you have is, if it's a quick question, yeah?
Yeah.
But you gotta be louder and you gotta talk faster.
Okay, so does doing abstinence, abstaining from all this other stuff?
No abstinence, just win at it. Just go win at it. It doesn't take more than 18 months. All this talk of like material stuff doesn't matter. You're 18 months away from having it. Why are we even talking about abstaining from it? It takes 2 seconds, guys. Stop. You all know that you could crush it if you just focus for 2-3 years. Probably a year and a half, but 2-3 years most. You all know you could, boom, you'd have it. Stop. It's just dumb. Come on, stop it. Okay, just stop it. Okay, you can solve this. So just focus your damn mind for a hot minute. So that, you don't need to run around like some broke fool, some sexless broke incel fool, to be able to receive light. That's just dumb. That's a scam. So, okay, we'll keep going down the thing here. So so I've coached billionaires, coached multimillionaires. They're still in refracted light. They still have that same soulless gaze, the majority of them. They're just in the other end of the trap itself, right? So let's look at the kind of transformation that we're talking about, okay? So the frames that you've had put in front of you are limited. Like, I look you in the face, I see disconnection from source. That's all I'm looking at. Disconnection from source. Probably you work a job that's tough. This might be a bit late for you. You're sitting in a chair and you're disconnected from source. And you're just trying. You're like, hey, I'm trying, man. Try, my man. I'm trying here, buddy. Yeah. Pick it on me for, man. I'm just trying here, bro. I'm in your audience. I'm your fan, bro. Right? That's how I see it. That's what I'm looking at, okay? But I also see the potential that you have. The potential of you to evolve. The potential of you to change, right? So let's bring up a couple people. So I'm going to have you guys come up and tell me a little bit about what you're deriving from what it is that we're talking about here today, okay? We'll bring it up.
So what I'm gathering from this, my takeaway is to audit and kind of figure out what you want actually from life, rather than like following the program that has kind of been given to us. So, for example, maybe you don't need to be a millionaire or a billionaire. Maybe that's too much.
And the operative word being maybe.
Right.
Maybe, because maybe it's the right path. But maybe it's not. It's by the individual.
Right. Like if your passion in life is to gather money and that makes you happy, then, get those stats.
No, but even question that. Even question if that even makes you happy. No, it actually might. Don't let yourself off the hook. There's some people for whom gathering finance has deep meaning. That is real. Not every rich person is miserable. There's a lot of people who really enjoy making global change. So there's, or just love the game of it for their own reasons, for their own biology. There's different reasons, but you have to be honest about those reasons. Okay.
Like learning more how to handle like the light. We get the fractal stuff like money and sex and stuff like that, but kind of getting those and moving up the paradigm so that you can handle more of the light that I guess is God in the universe. So yeah.
Give a hand, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I'm gathering from this is we're basically in a war for our own humanity and personhood. We're all in a basically sleeping haze. We think we're alive. We're really not. We're all just kind of coasting through life, and it's basically a test that you can decide not to try to answer any of the questions, but you have basically the rest of eternity to be dead and be forgotten. So you have a kind of a small window, and we're basically our energy and our spirituality and our life force is being siphoned off from us, and we have to, first of all, we have to appreciate the value of it by basically going out into the world, because like you said, the Rolex watch isn't really anything compared to a leaf, but yet we idolize one thing and we put a dollar amount of value on it. And the leaf is the very thing that like lets us breathe, literally lets us breathe air into our lungs and breathe life into us, and we just pass it by. Yeah, because it's in abundance, but again, every breath is like what keeps you alive. So a lot of what we chase is basically pointless. The sex, the money, the power, the status, everything is essentially, something is basically making us chase all the wrong things. So get it as an exercise to achieving humanity and personhood, but not as the ends of itself. It's basically a means to something greater that you can't really, right in this room at this Mecca, none of us can really verbalize at some point, and just kind of trust a process that kind of will go beyond your own lifetime if you commit to it and devote to it. And that's exactly like why I'm here today, to kind of just to commit to a bigger process that'll go long after I'm 6 feet under.
I think that's great. And I'll just add to a little bit of that too, which is that the work in and of itself is important, as he said, but it's the frame of reference that you use towards it. So for example, I understand that a expensive watch is worth more in the marketplace than a leaf due to the law of supply and demand. I understand that an expensive watch is a quick way to show other wealthy clients that you've achieved some success. It's just a quick frame of reference for them to look at it. It's also a store of value. When you buy an expensive watch, you can resell them, by the way. It's literally just a place to lock up a bit of money. They don't really lose value unless the market changes dramatically. So it's a place to lock up a bit of money, and it's a place to show other people, it's a quick frame of reference to show other people that you're not like a complete joke if they're first meeting you. So it has value in and of that. It has value in and of that it is more scarce than a leaf because you can get leaves anywhere. But spiritually, where you tether your soul and where you source your energy has to be the leaf, is lesson. So there's the practicalities of life. You got to pay rent. Maybe you want to have some kids. You want to go to some cool trips. But is that where you intertwine your soul? Would be the takeaway there. And what's the bigger journey? Can you give me a hand? Thank you. That's great.
I mean, is it on this side? There we go. I just want to say, like, it's just kind of crazy. Like, it's really sad how many of us there are and how much of the population really just doesn't even, like, care. Like, we're all here, and, like, most of us here won't even really make it. And just the fact you have a free tour and you spend all this money and you're Owen Cook and you do all this, and that literally people like, they'll just, like you said, they'll go get the Apple, they'll go grocery shopping, but they won't come here for 3 days. Are you kidding me? This changes your life. This really does. Writing notes, this thing right here, this has really changed my life. And it's just crazy that they won't even come here. They can't resonate with it because they're so out of it. They're so out of it, they just, like, they don't even think about it. It's just really mind blowing, and you're right. It really isn't that hard to be a millionaire. You just really gotta focus and do it, and just like wake up. Just wake up to the moment. When he's yelling at that person, he's not mad at that person. He might be a little angry about something. He's not mad personally at the camera crew, but it's just so obvious that you could just do it. You're so mindless. You just gotta wake up to it, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, the way I would interpret that would be, and I'm just sort of adding my tweaks onto it. So from a base level standpoint, you want to imagine your life like a boa constrictor is tightening up on you, okay? And it's choking you to where you're half conscious. And then what a boa will do is it kind of loosens up, because if you're fighting, it'll loosen up so that you'll kind of relax and stop fighting, and then boom, and tightens up, okay? So what's happening, how many of you here have ever had this feeling, like if you could just feel good, you could just relax into that for eternity and die? You know that feeling? Like if you could just lose yourself in an orgasm, for example, or an ice cream, if you could just, because it's just so hard. Life is so hard. Life is so confusing. Life is so hard, right? And so if someone could just come along with like a good feeling and just remove the noise of the mind and the weight of existence, just remove that weight of existence from you, right? And allow you to relax into it. And you could just vanish. So that feeling is how they get you, okay? That feeling is how they get you. Because as you become entrained on pleasure, ego, path of least resistance, derping, floating turdism, you get addicted on 2 + 2 = 5, as we saw in 2020, and you just get, it's a demoralization process. Say that with me, demoralization process. Say that again, demoralization process. Say it's a will sapping process. Say that. So what's happening there is we slowly, methodically get demoralized. And as we're demoralized, the boa, it goes like that, and you're fighting, and you're fighting, and you're fighting, and it's just tiring. You're just tired. I don't want to fight this anymore. I don't have the will to fight this anymore. And I'm gonna die anyway. And because I'm gonna die anyway, if I could just relax for even a minute, then for even 1 minute of my life, my pathetic little life, I could relax before this thing snaps my neck, right? There was a movie called The Gray with Liam Neeson, where there's wolves, they're plane crashes, I believe it was Alaska, and there's wolves chasing them, but they can't escape the wolves, right? They're in the middle of Alaska, they're not gonna make it home, and there's wolves chasing them. Now this movie is created in such a manner that there is no escape, and I'll keep saying it, but I'm walking the crowd a bit, but I'll come back to you. There's no escape from the wolves. They can't escape it, okay? Now, if in the movie they can beat the wolves and survive, that movie just became a 4 to 6 out of 10 movie. Because it's kind of like some CGI wolves. It's not even a real representation of wolves, by the way. Wolves aren't gonna do that, is my understanding. And they're not as like vicious and stalking people as that, is my understanding. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I understand it. And so the only thing that makes that movie a true 10 is that he can't survive it. So the movie is not a cheesy action movie fighting wolves like Jaws, but for wolves. The movie is a metaphor for the reality that we all live in, which is that there is no difference between, and let me be clear here, let me be objectively clear. There is no difference to your life right now if you live to be 100 and live in a city, and Liam Neeson in the fictional movie, which is from a book, is my understanding, running from some wolves and has 5 days to live. There is no actual difference. None. You are in that reality right now. There's no difference. Can anybody guess why I would say that? Use your creativity. Who wants to take a real stab at why I say that? Who wants to take a stab at it? Okay, so it's a riddle. Okay, come on up. You want to take a stab at it? If you want to take a real stab at it, yeah. Okay, so why is there no difference? In fact, why is it arguable that Liam Neeson's life is better than yours is? Crash in Alaska, 5 days-ish to live, whatever it would be, being chased by wolves. Why is that a better life than what you have now?
I mean, I wasn't trying to make a whole speech about it. I thought it was going to be a quick answer. But what
I
I
say,
thought,
go for it,
okay.
man. Let's go. Let's use your creativity.
The initial thoughts I had was because you're going to die anyways, and then you're going to suffer anyways. And the reason his is better is because it's quicker and you know when it's coming pretty much, rather than, this was just in my understanding.
Well, let's remove suffering as a negative. What if suffering's not a negative? So now let's keep going. What if suffering's not a negative, why does Liam have an advantage over us? The Liam's character. I mean, is suffering a negative? Is suffering a negative? Okay, let's keep going.
Maybe less options, you know, you could, you know, rather than, we have so many options to choose from, it's like you could get like sort of analysis paralysis maybe, whether in his situation it's just like get away from wolf, get food, get shelter, that's it, like very basic compared to all the motions that we might have to get through with like, do I do this, do I do that, prioritizing sort of either relationship, work, life, whatever, whether it's like when it's just pure survival, it's just like one instinctual thing.
Yes, okay. Can you give me a hand for that? Thank you for taking a crack. Thank you. Eternity. 100,000 years. How long is 100,000 years in the context of the galaxy? Nothing! How long is 100 years in the context of the galaxy? Nothing! How long is 5 days? It's also nothing. But at least with 5 days, you know it's nothing. So knowing that it's only 5 days, you have the opportunity to resolve whatever it is that you're here to resolve because you know what you're dealing with. You don't know where you are right now. You don't know what you're dealing with right now. You don't fully know you're going to die right now. It's not even fully real to you. So you're not even forced to make those changes. At least knowing that you would be dead in 5 days, you would be rapidly and aggressively forced to make the changes that you're here to make. He's at an advantage. Suffering is not a disadvantage. You're still inside the box. Pleasure good, suffering bad. You're still inside that box. Yes, some suffering is horrific. I understand that. We want to minimize suffering and not just like take that idea too far. Okay, I understand that. You know, someone dying of leukemia, we should try to alleviate suffering. But I'm making the point that there is some also value in suffering that we're forgetting about. And suffering is also what prompts us to make those evolutions. If you had only 5 days left to make those evolutions, you'd be better off than living within the hamster cage system that distracts you to never make the change. Your life's too short anyway. You can't escape death in this. You can only escape it in this. You can't escape death in this. You can only escape death in this. Kobe you should never feel bad about Kobe. You should feel bad about you. Kobe didn't die. You might. Kobe's still here. You might not be. So Kobe got over the fence. You remain to be seen. So why would you worry about Kobe? It doesn't mean that I don't get mad at the helicopter service or that people suffered or died, but I'm seeing it from two layers. From a base layer, I'm mad, I want Kobe back, I hate what happened, I hate it for his family, it's a tragedy. But from another layer, there's another way of seeing it. So I'm trying to encourage you guys to see that in a little bit of a different way. So what they're doing is they've got you in this constricted zone, okay? And let's get very, very practical here. They've got you, boom, in here, and you're going unconscious. All of you in this room struggle with unconsciousness. You're all struggling with it the whole day. The whole day you struggle with unconsciousness, all of you. You can't do approaching. You can't get the money you want. You can't just, because you're unconscious, right? And then they just keep putting trinkets in front of you. It's like the boa constrictor's letting it go. You want to think about it. Okay, look. How many of you here have ever been at a bar club and you start doing approaches and you feel your state amplifying like a flywheel and you feel your will amplifying in a flywheel? You ever felt that? Okay, that's actual life. That's life in a nutshell there. So you want to think about it like reconnecting to your will, and you want that moving like a flywheel. And that will, what it's doing, your will in and of itself, you want to add anything more, by the way? What are you taking from this?
taking it all in right now.
Okay, go have a seat then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you might have a little more, but I like it. Keep thinking, okay? So your will, it's a flywheel, okay? Now, what you're doing as you progress is you're looking at your will and you're getting more and more connected to it, more and more connected to it, more and more connected to it. That will is like the pure light that vaporizes all the parasites, vaporizes the distraction, vaporizes the different directions that you're being pulled in. Then what starts happening is, because it's a flywheel, you know, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. People who are losing their will tend to lose it more and more. People who are gaining in will tend to gain more and more. It's a flywheel. So now your will is going up and up and up. Then what it's doing is it's densifying. So it's getting tighter, 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 right? It's like platinum versus a looser metal. You know, it's just getting strong, okay? Now it's getting to the point where your will, if you're able to truly control your mind and your core essence, your will is gonna begin to tighten up to where, in the same way that a syringe can poke through skin because it's just so small, there's no resistance, you can learn to focus the mind at such a small point that it's like that, and your will is just right through. And the metal by which it is made is so dense. So imagine you had the thinnest possible syringe-looking thing, and it was made with the strongest metal. And you could literally just go into anything and just go. Okay, so your will is not encountering resistance and strong. Now, how does that happen? Well, you have to peel back the layers, right? So now what happens is you're sitting there with your will and you're like, okay, I can make some money. Okay, cool, great, cool. Okay, I focus all day. I did my little rendition of Jocko Willink, or who's the runner who's amazing? Goggins, okay? I'm Goggins now. Do my Goggins thing. Okay, amazing, super cool. So they're great. Love those guys. Great examples. So now you have that. But what starts to happen is you say, this is not the right fuel. This is just not the right fuel. This is not enough. This isn't enough. I need more power, okay? More power. Why is that? Why do you want more power? Because you see the bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. Like, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I got money. Now I'm in a house. It's a big house. Okay. Sex. Okay. Gourmet food. Okay. Now look, you want to enjoy this stuff. You don't want to hit your head so far up your own ass you can't enjoy a fucking meal. You know? You got some bombshell giving you a little bit of attention. Have some fun, man. Of course. Can't enjoy that, you're an idiot. But you're also like, well, what else? Dan Bilzerian talks about this. He's like, I got $350 million. All I like to do is just hang out with my friends and surf. The simulation's not working. So what happens is you realize that your will has been used for what? Your will is what? This biological mass roaming the earth like a worm? How is that will any different than a cow? How are you categorically different than a cow? You want to hump and get some hay or something, right? Sleep. So then maybe you use that, to do other things, like, for example, fulfill your ego. But the ego is a parasitic, false flywheel overlay on top of your consciousness. So all that you're doing is feeding a fake overlay. You're feeding a false self. So you're basically feeding a cow and some creepy parasite overlay on your brain. Again, my midlife crisis from living a really fun 20 years, okay? So, great. So now you have that. Okay, cool. So you fed a weird parasite on top of your fucking brain, and you fed a cow. And who's the cow? You're the cow. Okay? So you fed some stupid, dying, ephemeral, parasite that in the grand scheme of things is irrelevant, that you thought was you, that was sucking energy off you the entire time. It was sucking you dry of energy, and it was serving as a light refractory system. So you can't even take in light, it's blocking the lights. That's why we meditate. Simple, right? Why do we meditate? Get out of thought, light comes in. So that's your life? Your life is feeding a cow and a parasite. Great job. So some people feed the cow and the parasite better than others. So, but then the worst part is, again, I say this, and then the main way people take it is, well, then cool, then I'll be lazy. Cool, now you're a dying cow and parasite. You didn't escape the trap that way either.
You spend your whole life trying to fix it, create the problem, and you spend your whole life trying to fix the problem.
Yeah, here, come up and share then. Share the, I like that. Come and share with the crowd. You're seeing it.
I was just saying that we create our own problems, and then we spend our whole life trying to get rid of the problem, or like you said, being egotistic. Like the billionaires, they're leaning on the yacht. That's why when they get the yacht, they're like, damn, this sucks. Oh, let me just kill myself.
Yeah, but also some of them like it too. So we don't want to write it off.
Right.
Some people, actually, that is a good thing for him to do. But it depends, is that where you're sourcing energy from?
You can't lean on it. You can't lean on nothing but you. You can't depend on the government. You can't depend on Owen. You can't depend on your mom. You can't depend on anybody. You gotta just trust yourself and depend on yourself. And
I'd say that's a good next step. There's broader layers to that, but that's a great next step. And put the mic here.
And that's why, like,
put the mic.
And that's why, like, politics, they play with us. Like, we look like puppets. They just, Donald Trump, everybody just plays with us. And a good book that woke me up to that was Outwitting the Devil. It shows you from young how they make us stand in line. It's like, it's crazy, bro. It's freaking crazy. Like, and that's why I appreciate this guy, because he could just manipulate all you guys. He could see the weakness in you, but he's showing you, like, dog, I could make you guys do what I want, but that's not the point. And if I do that, I'm killing myself. I'm killing myself. Nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you do that, you're not abundant. It's like robbing somebody. It's like bashing somebody. It's like, bro, why are you doing that? If you're blessed already, you don't need to steal. Why steal? If you're blessed, why would you do that?
Because stealing at its core level is at consumer level, not creator level. It's demonic rather than creation. So the criminal only hurts themselves.
Right.
They hurt themselves thousands of times worse than the person being victimized.
And when you
not thousands, by the way, infinitely more.
And when you trust in yourself, you can be a billionaire, go broke, be a billionaire again, because you know who you are, you know your worth. And you're not afraid, like you're not, oh, this is luck. That's why when people make money, they self-sabotage. But the superstars, the NBA players, most of the NBA players, after the fifth year of them retire, they go back broke. You understand? It's a mind, like, bro. Like,
and by the way, you want to think of it like multiple dimensions. There's the dimension of pragmatic life, money, success, social relationships. Then there's the dimension beyond that. Again, Kobe at the physical level, horrific, sad tragedy. But there's another level that exists to that in parallel. So in the same way, making money is important, but there's other things that are important in parallel.
And you got to know what you're doing it for, like he said, like, which is the key point. Why do you want $100 million? Why do you want it? Ask yourself that. You chasing the money, you don't even know what you want it for. You don't even know why you want the money, but you're chasing the money. That's why he said, I'll give you $100 and you wouldn't know what, I'll give you $100 million and you wouldn't know what to do with it when you get it.
It's too much light also.
Or you crash out. You just start drinking beers and overeating, doing all the bullshit, killing yourself. That's why a lot of people who win the lottery are like, damn, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the lottery curse. Some guys are like, damn, I wish I never won the money. It just fucked up my life. Like, I wish I never, imagine saying I wish I never hit the lottery. Imagine saying that. You understand me?
Because it disrupts your evolution and your whole process that you're meant to go through. It's just messing with you. It's like you're playing this cool video game and they just bump you to the end of the game and you're like.
Like, I've been watching these guys for years, bro, and it's like, to the point where I stopped listening to music. I'm like, yo, what the fuck are they saying? Like, what the fuck is this guy saying? What is this guy really saying, bro? Like, and everybody's like, yeah, this guy's fucking hard. Yo, it's my nigga. I'm like, bro, what are you saying, bro? This guy's trash. Like, I understand it, because, I listen to rap. I understand the music, but it's like, I get where they're coming from. It's like, bro, this is gibberish. Like, my girl, she doesn't listen to, my wife, she doesn't listen to rap. So she's like, babe, what is this? This guy's hurting my ear. Like, this guy's really hurting my ear.
Why?
You know what I'm saying? Right, conditioning you. Like, and that's another thing. You looking up to idolizing people. Like, you're not supposed to idolize nobody. You're not supposed to look up to nobody.
God, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. That's it, bro. You coming here to look up to him, you're wasting your time. I'm telling you that right now. Just get the gems that he's giving you and move forward. Don't come in like, oh my God, Owen. Like he said, and people run away from that. Like, bro, why do you want my autograph? Just be normal, bro. Like, oh no, that's Jay-Z right there. Why you want his signature for? For what? For what? Another thing that kills me too, right, is like when people fan out, when they see a superstar and they go crazy. To me, I think it's insane. Oh my God, Jay-Z, oh my fucking God, look at the picture. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is wrong?
Well, what that is, by the way, it's from the book of Exodus. People worshiping a golden calf. So it's another light refractory. The golden calf is a light refractory. Worshiping Jay-Z is a light refractory. It's just a way, it's idolatry.
Right, and that's
like a museum up in Brooklyn Library.
Right, everybody's going crazy on Instagram, like, oh, The Rock. I'm like, yo, bro, do you even know what sign you're putting up? Do you even know what you're doing? Do you really know what you're doing, bro? You're just following the trend to look good, to get likes, which is not paying you. It's not making you feel better, but, you feel good when you get the likes. You're like, damn, I got like 20 likes. Damn, yeah, I'm doing it, man. I got $100 million. Yeah, I'm that. Oh, I got a rollie, bro. Oh, look at me. Yeah, I made it.
But remember this too. That's also, we have a parallel realities, and we don't get out of the practicalities of one reality. We have to explore both. Right. So in other words, a lot of really powerful self-development work requires time. When Sid came with me for 4 years and got to, basically Sid and me have been rolling together for 4 years, right? Well, he did that because he studied mergers and acquisitions, was able to have all the money to be able to take 4 years off work. I was able to explore this taking 4 or 5 years off work. So now that doesn't mean you couldn't do that while you're working. You absolutely can, but just realize it's just 1 foot in one reality, 1 foot in a different reality. You're multidimensional.
You gotta make time you gotta meditate, bro. You gotta make time for yourself, bro. You can't let the system run you like a battery, bro. You just can't let that happen. You gotta make time for yourself. Like you said, it's the balance. Like even with the Rolex, like if he says something, he's wearing a Rolex, you're gonna listen to it. If I have an Apple Watch, I'm like, So sometimes you use these things to get people attention. You gotta use it. Just like money. Money's a tool. It's not something to. Money's a tool. It's not something to just show off and brag. Like my opinion, if I can't make you a millionaire, I'm nothing, bro. If I can't change your life, then I'm not doing nothing. Like
I wouldn't say you're nothing, but yeah,
you know what I mean? Like not nothing. Of course, you're something. But what I'm saying is like if
I think what you're saying is you want to learn to be at the cause and to be able to produce a result.
Right, that's just what it is for me, man. And I'm it's crazy that I'm even standing here because I know all this information. I've been watching these guys, my friends think I'm freaking crazy. Like, yo, bro, what is this guy? I'm like, you just don't get it. It's over your head. It's going over your head, and you're not gonna get it. It's like the more time I tell them this, they start attacking me. Yeah, Junes, you're gonna go to that guy with the orange hair, yeah, whatever. And he says slicks jokes. I'm like, damn, I feel sorry. I'm not even mad or offended because I know what I know. So I'm looking, I'm like, damn, bro, if you was to get it, like you're limited right here. You're at a ceiling, and you're never gonna go to the next level until you break that ego, that self defense that you're putting out there. You're never gonna get to the next level, bro. And this guy's dope. And I'm not saying this. He's not gonna pay me, and it's not enough money he can pay me because wisdom is more important than money, knowledge. The reason why you're perishing is because you have no knowledge. It's not because the government is not this guy holding you back. It's because you lack understanding or awareness. That's just what it is. It's like when you're looking for something, right? You're killing yourself. You're like, damn, what the shit is that? Where the fuck I put that shit? Like, what the hell? And then you go crazy. You put the house upside down. You keep looking for it. Then you go sit down, and you look down like, oh shit, it's just right in front of my face. That's how I look at life, bro. Like, you running around like, oh, I gotta get money, and the idea just, if you settle down and get into the moment, the idea is just right there that can take you to the next level. Like, it's in you. Like, it's in you, bro. Like, you don't have to chase anything.
Give me a hand, guys. That's really fucking sick. Thank you.
You're welcome, bro.
Thank you, man. That's perfect. Thank you. It's amazing to hear different voices and hear what people are experiencing. Yeah.
Owen, what you're saying is awesome, and it gets to this subtle aspect of reality that is so hard to pinpoint. It's actually ridiculous. So like what you're saying with the light, I think about it as like the light of existence that shines on basically on our souls. And what happens is, and it's so crazy you're saying like it's like refracted by the ego. Because I kind of think about it, it's like stained glass.
Refracted by ego, lies, distraction, changes in our physiology. It's crazy.
I mean, and you just go way back from the beginning. What are you saying about traps and how, like, there's all of these, you say altitude. You're getting altitude. And what you're looking at when you're seeing it from the universe's perspective, from this cosmic perspective, is that you're seeing these deep assumptions inside of your mind. And these are the different frames that society is putting on you. And I'm in it right now. Like, I'm above the clouds right now. So I can see all of these traps that I've been in, where like I would allow myself to have conversations with people that are fucking stupid and that I don't actually want to have, that don't add to the joy of life. And
it doesn't move the ball down the field towards even just laughter. Laughter in and of itself is an end value. Just laughing is like the leaf. Laughter is the leaf. Laughter, love, leaf is life. So it's the beauty of life, the essence of life. So even just basic level laughter is worth $1 billion. A leaf is worth $1 billion. Not in a physical dimension, but in that parallel reality that we also live in.
And the light, I think with the light of existence, it shines and it refracts through our ego, through like stained glass windows, mirrors, and magnifying glasses. And it refracts it so much that we're not able to let it in. Just let it, how you say, land. And it's you get it this will. The will is something so deep. Like what you said to somewhere over here, where you said, it's like if you could just have that good feeling, you want it so bad, you'd give everything, you just die for it. But there's something more. There's something more that you can't see, you can't touch, and you can't even really feel almost. But it's beautiful. It's transcendent of this whatever this is. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Thank you, that's amazing. That's fucking
Thank
amazing.
you so much.
Thank you.
Owen, you're awesome.
Thank you, man.
This content is next level shit.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and I think just expanding on that is like, you know, everybody would take differently what we talked about here. And we all live in a different body, different mind, different perception of reality. So even when I hammer you, lies upon lies upon lies upon lies, I'm trying to get you to start defragmenting your mind and start processing just the convenient truths that you have. And everybody's going to take that differently. A lie to one person is a truth to another. There's objective reality, but there's also what you need to hear for your next step. So when we talk about the boa constrictor, it's that each little thing that you consume that gives you a short-term payoff, but lowers access to your will, and you go a little more unconscious, 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 and your discernment starts to go out, right? And look, I started bringing this up because these were areas that I had a core understanding of for many years. My understanding has evolved, but my inspiration was 2020. When I saw what happened in 2020, that was the fruit of years of this, like it just makes sense. 2020 makes sense, and it had to happen. And you know what's scary about it? We've all forgotten about it. How many of you does 2020 even still feel real that it happened anymore? It's like you're a trauma victim that got, you know, something horrible happened to you as like a kid or something, and your brain blocked it out. Why aren't we still talking about what happened? Like now that we know what happened, we're just gonna move past it, that's it? They count on us forgetting it. And the thing is that it was the inevitability that at some point the boa constrictor would just go like that and do that. And what I'm talking about here and what we're trying to go delve into is an opposite feeling of unconsciousness, but is of consciousness. And in other words, your will being amplified, your awake feelings expanding. And you know, it's I learned a lot of this from going out, to be honest. It sounds so dumb, but it's true. I would, you know, I'd go out and maybe you go to talk to someone and you walk up and you want to talk to them and you chicken out. And then you walk up, you want to talk to someone, you chicken out. And you sell yourself out in this sort of compounding exponential way. Who here has ever had that where you go out, you try to talk to people, you chicken out, chicken out, chicken out, chicken out, chicken out, and you go home with your tail between your legs feeling like an idiot? You ever had that? And you're so shut down that you can't even you know, function anymore really, because you can't even go say hi at all. Like your will has been beaten out of you by your own lack of integrity to yourself, magnified by not keeping your promise to yourself again and again and again, right? Now, have you ever had that feeling where you went out and, you know, people look at this art form as something like degeneracy because they don't even understand what we're teaching at all, and I understand why they look at it that way, but, you know, instead what you do is you force yourself to go say hi. Have a fun interaction, goes good, goes bad, either way, you congratulate yourselves. Go say hi, go say hi, go say hi, go say hi. And you're 3-4 hours in, and you are buzzing. Your mind is absolutely silent. You're saying the funniest things you didn't know you're that funny. You didn't know you're that loud. You didn't know that you're that charismatic. You didn't know that it could be that easy. It's all so easy. Who here has ever had that experience based on this kind of work? Put your hand way up. Hand way up. Okay? If you're watching at home, it's like way late at night right now. That's why this room is, you know, kind of, we're just like kind of like, this is like we're like punch drunk. Just like, this is like a late night drunken talk. So this is the kind of talk that happens after like what time are we at right now? Is it like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning? We're almost right at 2, right? So it's just like, this is like, you ever been like sitting with your friends like in your room and you're just talking way too late and you're like half out of it and you start talking nonsense and like, does he make sense anymore? We're there now. So, right? So, you know, it's, you know, you guys are the ones that stayed here and didn't go home and go to bed, so you're pushing yourself a little bit, right? But we're trying to stretch. So that feeling of will is the same feeling that when 2020 happens, you just look up and you go, you're joking. Really? No. Okay, you're joking? Really? No. Okay? And I said no. And I said no by putting a giant movie theater in my house, by building a full-scale gym in my house, and by traveling the country ever since. COVID hit, I've been traveling the country ever since. Okay, yeah. Adventures, you know, you see it on my stories. And I said no. I immediately knew exactly what that was. It was completely obvious because we'd seen it unfolding. Do you guys remember around 2019? Anybody here remember this? I've never said weird, crazy stuff like we're in trouble and some stuff's about to go down. And right around 2-3 months before COVID, I started making videos saying there's some crazy stuff coming, we're in trouble. Anybody here happen to remember that and being like, what's that about? Who here remembers that? Put your hands up, maybe one or two. Okay, wasn't it funny? In 20 years, you never heard me talking like that. And I'm like, hey, heads up, buckle up, okay? What did I know? So imagine my perspective. What did I know? So imagine my perspective. You remember when I put videos out right when it happened, I looked so calm? What did I know? What was my perspective? I mean, what kind of people do I have access to? Come on, guys. So it's just so frustrating. So who are my clients, right? Think about it. My clients is everybody because I was for many years the top in dating and just about every guy wants to learn dating and certainly nerdy billionaires want to learn dating. So who are my clients, guys? Wake up. What did I know? Okay? There's truly. So from that standpoint, it's that the boa constrictor is coming. It's putting you unconscious. And you fight it, okay? So you fight it, 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 okay? And this is the subtext to you building your business. It's the subtext, the other layer to you building social skills. It's the other layer to you traveling. It's the other layer to you building things. Is the internal evolution that's happening in parallel to you building more basic competencies and practical skills. So sometimes my deeper layer evolution has evolved beyond my practical skills. Other times my practical skills pass my inner evolution. It's gonna go in parallel and they catch up to each other. So like roots and a tree, right? The roots and the tree. The deeper layer's the roots and then you have the tree. You don't wanna just be all deep roots, but with a shrubby little tree, you don't wanna be a giant tree with not deep roots. So you grow them in parallel. But the opposite of the boa constrictor effect is that effect that you'd get from doing approaches. As you feel an amplifying intention, an amplifying will, you feel your mind opening up, free associativeness opening up, light in your mind opening up, peace in your mind opening up, going deep into presence. It's that opposite feeling. So in one state, you're unmanipulable, you're sharp, you're aware, you have discernment, you have will. The other state, you are a puppet, you can barely do an approach. You're a joke. You're a joke. You're a joke. And I saw that year after year doing approach because I would see the way I would get on a good night and on a bad night. And I was able to see the differences and how to lull myself into that state. So, in the same way that you might learn how to like wank off and just learn how to make yourself reach a certain state to bust a nut, in the same way I learned how to train my mind from that to have amplifying and dramatically increasing intention. I just learned it from years of doing it. It became a proactive meditation. So anyway, I'd love to hear more your thoughts. Let's crack it out and make sure you put it here and make sure everybody can hear you. You can even go like anywhere like that, but just not that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so things I've learned today, there's a lot I want to say, but we only have so much time. I think probably the first and most evident thing is stick to it. Whether it be your own will, whether it be factors of life, whether it be COVID, literally shutting the world down, anything you could think of, an injury, a family member dying, like shit's gonna happen, but you just always have to stick with, that inner light, that inner fire, whatever that thing is that gives it that little bit of gust that amplifies it. And I'd imagine for most of you, the things you're hearing today, whether it be from Owen, Julian, Jeff, that's a gust amplifying it. Follow it. There's other things that do that for you. Follow that. I remember I was at the 2019 4-day self-help event where Sid was there, I think still as a student. Pablo was there when that moment happened. And it's amazing to see where they are now. And it's, obviously it's partly because Owen and his teaching, but it's because of them, the work that they did. And I see that and it makes me very happy. It makes me really trust this process, the amazing things that, the level of teaching and being able to bring somebody's potential out that Owen's cultivated and is able to then cultivate in others, and this, this cascading domino effect that is ultimately going to be the answer to seeing more positive change in the world. Again, not always do we have this ability for one person to change the world. There's people who make great waves, Kobe, Gandhi, JFK, Owen to a degree. I'd love to see what else is going to happen in his life. But the thing is, it's really, it's really, sometimes it's really, really hard to see
any chance for a positive. And it's because these negative forces in the world, negative people in the world, they want to see it snuffed out. They want you to think it's not possible, but it is. And even small actions, just spreading it from you to one person, that's all you have to do over the time of your life, whether it be a stranger, whether it be your child, whether it be, some small interaction. Like, it's extremely powerful. It's the compounding effect. And while you may not think that, any action you take, even the words that passed by tonight, maybe you forget them, just let some piece of it stick with you. I know it's going to stick with me. And shit, man, yeah, I guess that's
Thank you,
that's
man.
what I'm doing.
Thank you, brother. Nice.
Hello, guys. So first of all, mind my English. I came from Greece a couple of months ago, so it's...
Sound great.
Thank you very much. One reason I got up is just because throughout all this time I was thinking of doing it, and I was kind of, chickening out. So I was like, yeah, I have to do this just to feel better about myself. Second of all, I want to share what I got from this whole thing, which I think for me is very important. With my words, I think what Owen was talking about and the other guys were speed of implementation. When you have the instinct of you have to do something, go actually do it. If you think, of course, that is the right thing to do it. Don't have second thoughts. Another area that I saw this a lot, that it was the thing you said about approaching, when you, the compound effect of not approaching this, not approaching that, and that builds up, and you end up going home hating yourself. That is the worst feeling for me. And I noticed the exact opposite happening when I was just instantly, whenever I was getting out of the bus and I see a beautiful woman that I wanted to talk. When I talked to her instantly, the whole fucking day was going just the way it should be, And yeah, that's it, guys. For me, whenever I see something that I have to do, I think I have to do it, I'm gonna do it at the best of my ability. Yeah.
So the way that I think about what he's saying is thank you. It's yeah, give him a hand. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna let you say some more too, but that's good. So I think of that like a little baby will. I'm gonna get up. Okay, so this is kind of like a funny thing, right? But when we get it where, we do seminars, right? And somebody maybe, they gather the courage to come up. And I see that they're nervous to come up and just share. If you've been just driving yourself your whole life, just brutalizingly driving yourself, and you see someone where they're nervous to do that, it looks sort of surreal. You're like, how could that even be hard? That's how I feel. But I also recognize that it's not the age of the person, because that's still, like they say, age is just a number. There's a chronological age at which you begin waking up. And that could be at age 5, that could be at age 55, could be age 105 in theory, I guess. But the chronological age is not as important, right? So when I see you come up here, and how old are you chronologically?
33.
33. But when I see you come up here, I see you as 2 in your will. I found the courage to come up. Now, you may have a great will in other areas, by the way, not just public speaking, it'd be tough for me to do a, wingsuiting or something, so everything's a little different, so it's not a perfect analogy. But I see you beginning to develop that. And what did it, and just even hop back up for 1 second, what did it feel like, in your body to drive yourself to come up and to share for a second? What kind of feelings do you have?
Yeah, even now I feel myself shaking.
Yeah. But that light that's there that pushes through the shaking, and zone in on that and find yourself there.
Yeah. I know that at the end of the day, I'm gonna for me, even though this is not for most of people.
Oh wait, but pause. Find yourself. Actually, do it. Find yourself. Shift your awareness and find yourself in that point that drove yourself up here. Sink into it.
Right.
Look at me in the eye.
Yeah.
Sink into it. That will.
Yep.
Okay? Look at the audience. Go. Louder. 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 Relax yourself. Not force, but power. Relax yourself. Go. Now, I'm blasted from being up here for many hours, but but don't go, my volume's a little shattered right now because I've been up here for a couple of days, but just give it to me crispy, where you're not forcing it and you're letting it move through you. I need it crispy, high fidelity, okay? Because what you're doing now is you're forcing it. Now, do you guys remember I said the source of will? So see, we tapped out and maxed out his source of will through his ego and through his brain. But now we've seen the limit of that fuel. And we can feel the usage of fuel in the fidelity in the voice. So shift the fuel, presence, shift. Now, as you go in a more meditative state, in a state of release, like die, look at me. You're dead. Look in the audience, yell again. How much louder was that for people at home to tell them? How much louder was it? A lot. You're dead. Now we'll go longer, okay? And we're gonna stretch it out, okay? Mm-hmm. Dead. Your life's over. You're fucking dead, man. You're fucking dead. You're fucking dead. Walk the ground. Keep going.
No more air.
Keep going. Let it out. Again. Here. In the sound. Now, I'm rock from being up for so many days, but for him, he's not up for so many days. Where it sounds crisp is when he's in presence, and then where it goes like that, the fidelity thing, that's where he's using the wrong fuel. So he's about 70, 80% in presence, and little spurts in where he goes in ego and tries to control it.
That is true.
Yeah, but if you allow, and you can feel it as you're switching fuel, allow the mind to drop in, drop. Go into trance. You're in a fucking trance, man. Okay? Go into fucking trance. You understand? The fucking eternity. You're in a fucking trance. Okay? The fucking eternity. You're in a fucking trance. You're here forever. You're here forever. Again. Drop in. Allow it. You have to allow. See, I'm cracking because I've been up here so many days, but that's enough days up. But you haven't been up here for days, so you are pushing hard right now, okay? I want you to drop. Okay? Drop. Okay? Drop. Okay? Drop it in. Okay? Okay? Okay, keep going. You don't exist. You don't exist. There's nothing to fear. You're already dead, man. There's nothing to fear. There's only right now. Drop into it. hand, guys. That's very, very good. Thank you. Okay. So drop into beyond the mind. Okay, just drop into it, and then see how the floodgates go like that. And then do you see how your mind opens up? Lateral thinking opens up. High fidelity opens up. Can you feel it?
Yeah, I kind of at different like stages of the process of shouting this, kind of feel going to the, like, you know, aware, not feeling anything, like being there, and then all of a sudden I feel some type of, you know, distractions, and I feel it in my voice too. So.
The voice manifests what's happening inside, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel a part of yourself that maybe you didn't recognize before, but there's a part of yourself in there, a little seed that you can water?
Yeah, I mean, there was a point like I kind of, there was a thought in my mind like, okay, I'm a baller, you know. It is fun. It is funny, but it is something that I fucking love, man. And although I do understand it, I still see that the social conditioning and thing, it makes you, you know, like this. I don't want to.
The boa constrictor.
Yeah.
And you just go, you give up. The will just diffuses, right? If we had the needle example, like this super platinum titanium alien alloy needle that's so dense and amazing, that the will just goes like that. And, you know, you just evaporate. And they take your soul out of your body, actually. Yeah. They take it right out of your body. And you're just this corpse walking around.
And it is crazy that most of us can understand that, can like, we are aware of that part, you know, that we are kind of something is bothering us, but we're not taking the action to fight it, you know, to do something about it. And that's the worst part. I mean, it's a different thing when you don't know you have something and you're doing it. At the end of it, you don't know that you have it, so you feel good. But when you know you have it, and you don't do something about it, you feel like shit, man. You know, you hate yourself.
And then you self-medicate, distract.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lowers your will even more. You're not even a human. Look, you know it. Look at yourself, and look as you walk down the street. What do you see? But we just normalize this.
I feel like a lot of men, that's the main reason of their addictions, whatever the addiction is, like drugs, video games, drinking. It's like trying to kill that inner powerful self, our inner powerful self that's saying, you're better than that, man. You can do that. Why are you not doing it? Yeah.
And it's many people. It's also many people who say that it was only through God that they were able to find healing in that, because they were sourcing toxic energy. And only when they hit rock bottom were they ready to switch where they source their energy from and have that light beam come in and cleanse them of all the parasitic, sickening, demonic, Luciferian poison. And then they had a new source of energy and were able to step forward and step into their next level.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Owen.
Thank you, bro. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Amazing. What I would say is, whatever chunks out of this that you're able to let land, it's like a little seed, plant it in there. You come to trainings like this to get out of day-to-day thinking, and that moment that you get out of day-to-day thinking means that you can correct the ship and where it's going, and that's both internal and external, okay, guys? So I want to thank you guys for being here all day today, and I'm going to send you guys home and get some sleep, okay? Thank you guys very much. I'm just staying up late.